Prepare for adventure. Welcome to Scotty Huggins Unsupervised, the podcast where host Scotty Huggins dives deep into captivating conversations with extraordinary individuals who dare to push the limits. Whether it's racing motorcycles or exploring the unknown, Scott's boundless curiosity takes center stage. Let the unsupervised journey begin.
We're back with another episode of Scotty Huggins Unsupervised. This time we have Scott Britnell back on the podcast to talk about his African eco-race experience and the disasters that ensued. We talk about what an international rally would look like in Australia and Scott's exciting future endeavours that he has lined up. Let's go. All right, Scotty Britnell.
Yeah.
We finally got here.
We have. It's 12 months.
Oh, the year's gone so quick, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I was literally saying to you before, I was driving here earlier and I was like, it feels like you were at the African Eco Race yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's just the year's gone.
Yeah. 10 months just disappeared.
Did it take you a while to recover?
No, it wasn't too bad.
Wasn't too bad?
Yeah, no, a week or two. It was all good, yeah.
And come down from being overseas and, racing and having all that adrenaline and...
Yeah, I did have a bit of a crash when I got home, just for a few days to, when I finished the race, missed a couple of flights getting out of Africa. Well, actually, I got the flight out of Africa, but I had to do a changeover in Madrid, and the changeover, I had about a 4-hour layover in Madrid, and it must have been longer than that. Might have been 5 hours, but it was virtually get off the bike at the end, hand it over to somebody to load onto the truck, walk over and have a shower at a hotel, catch a cab to the airport, sat there for a few hours, and then ended up in Madrid. So the same day we finished, we're up at 4 o'clock to start the last day.
Yep.
Get into Madrid, and it must have been more than the 4 hours because the gate for my departure out of Madrid back to Paris wasn't declared at that point. So I was sort of in limbo waiting. What I wanted to do was to go to the gate and just lay down and crash, right?
Have a sleep, yeah.
So I had to wait a while until the gate was declared, and then I went to the gate, and there was quite a few people there from the race, officials and that sort of thing. And I laid down in a prominent spot. It just crashed. So probably the only English speaking person there.
Yeah.
And laid down with a little bit of comfort and just passed out. And when I wake up, the waiting area for that particular gate was empty, and there's the two people are still at the counter that check you onto the plane.
Yeah.
And I just woke up in a mad panic, grabbed my bag and my helmet bag, ripped over, and I could still see the aircraft on the tarmac.
Yeah.
And they said, no, you've missed it.
No shit. And no one came and woke you up?
No one came and woke me up.
Tricks.
So I was like, they said, no, it closed 10 minutes ago. We can't open the doors again and let you in. I'm going, Christ. So then I had to go all the way across the airport to the counter to get a fresh flight into Paris.
What a pain in the ass.
Yeah. And then I almost missed that flight because it was, it was like 45 minutes time.
Yeah.
But just navigating the airport was enough. But anyway, yeah. So there was a bit of fatigue.
Yeah.
And I did just sort of shut down at the end of it.
Yeah.
But afforded myself 24 hours to close a few admin things off in Paris before catching the flight home. So did a little bit of catch up there, I suppose.
Yeah, right.
Before I came home.
And what, you got to pack your bike down and send it back yourself, sort of thing, or do they organise that for you?
No, it's a nightmare.
It is.
So because you finish in Dakar in Senegal, you basically hand the bike over to the race organisers.
Yep.
Because I was running Melmoto, I didn't have a team to do anything anyway.
Yeah.
So literally the same day that you finish racing, you hand that bike over, it gets loaded onto a truck, and it stays on the truck, goes to the port. Sort of within 24 hours of the race finishing, all of the hardware goes on the same boat.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, it's back in a port in France.
Yeah.
So then if you're from Europe, you would just then go down to that port, receive your bike or your gear and then take it home.
Yeah.
But for me, like I wasn't gonna suck up the cost of another trip to Europe just to receive. So I had arranged another. I didn't have a plan before then, but I'd arranged another competitor from Paris, somewhere around Paris, to pick my bike and gear up off the boat and took it back to Paris, where I guess I'd engaged somebody from a motorcycle shop there who had done the race the year before and had received a referral for these people.
Yeah.
So basically, they received my bike. There was an engine swap required and an engine rebuild for me. So they had my bike for a month or so to do that work and to put it back in a crate ready to be freighted back home.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, not a simple process. No. It's always good to have a few good people on side.
Yeah.
Well,
and it sounds like there's a lot of that goes on with rally as well. You know, a lot of good people that just will happy to help out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a small community.
Yeah, it is.
Even across Europe, and there's a lot of rallies in North Africa.
Yep.
You know, there might be. I wouldn't mind betting there's 10 or 15 rallies across North Africa every year. There's certainly half a dozen in Morocco during the season. So there's a lot of people involved, but it's a small community style of racing. So I guess if you're involved, you get a bit of automatic credibility and trust until you prove otherwise.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, there's not many scumbags in the rally scene, you know.
No.
Yeah,
they don't last. I think.
Yeah, that's
so if
exactly
they've been around
right.
it for a little while, then obviously they're worth they're worth a bit.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and so they did an engine rebuild on the engine that you raced with. What happened to the other engine? I saw on the first day you were loading your bike off the trailer. Off the back of the ute.
Yeah. So that's the same bike that I did Dakar on in 2018.
Yeah.
It hasn't done a whole lot of work since, but I made a commitment maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I bought a brand new spare engine off one of the rally teams.
Yeah.
So it had been sitting under my workbench for 4 years at least in a crate, and I thought, well, if I'm going to commit the money and time to go and do Africa, I probably should just put a fresh engine in. So because I had it, so I dropped the fresh engine in, and off the bike went with probably only about 5 hours worth of run time.
So it had run before you went over there?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So it had run it in and said like it was running pretty well.
Yep.
No, it didn't sound funny or anything.
Probably what it hadn't done was valve bounced through the dunes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I sent it over there, and because I'd put a brand new engine in it, and they're a pretty bloody reliable engine, I chose to not take my original engine as a spare.
Yeah.
You know, it's just more value. It's extra cost on the carnet bond, and it's a logistics liability to have to find somebody to then carry that engine.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was pretty confident I didn't need it. So first day, prologue was, or it might have been about 100K liaison to the start of the prologue stage, which was something that they don't normally do, but they managed to find a bit of ground in close to the coast. There's a dune system along the coastline. I think the stage might have been about 40 Ks of prologue.
Oh, only a short prologue with a really long transport.
Really.
Yeah,
500 Ks of liaison after the the prologue to get up and over the Atlas Mountains. I'd put a bit of a request in for a dedicated race number. Beforehand. So I got the number 88. I thought I was a bit of luck in eights.
Yeah.
I'm Chinese or superstitious, but I thought, why not? So I got number 88, but the negative from that was they put us in chronological order for the prologue.
Yeah.
So I was 88th off the start line out of about 100 bikes before the cars and everything.
That's hard going.
So, so the track was super chopped up.
Yeah.
And it was quite hard work, having not done a whole lot of time on a bike, and straight into technically challenging dune system, soft coastal sand. But anyway, so I was fortunate enough that I had a Swedish friend that I know from Mongolia and had befriended a couple of other Scandinavians from Norway on the boat, sort of just developed a bit of a bond with them. On the boat, on the 2-day boat ride from France across to Morocco. Anyway, so because we're all racing the Melmoto, they decided to wait at the end of the prologue so that we could do the 500 Ks as a small group. You know, to risk our lives dodging trucks on the freeway.
Yeah, literally
together. But anyway, fortunately they were pulled up there. So when I finished the prologue, Anders, the big Swedish guy, I just went straight over to him and I said, I've got a problem. You know, the bike just started to run like crap the last 500 metres of the stage. I don't know what it is. So I'd done a fair bit of prep. I had spare injectors, a spare fuel pump. So I had, I had a lot of other things that people don't normally carry.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we went about it and it just felt like fuel.
So it didn't sound too bad.
Not under the rally tanks and with the the tempo. We ran it at idle and it just, I don't know, it was a pretty average diagnosis, a hasty diagnosis, I suppose. And because I had a spare injector, I thought I'll just drop that in case there's shit in the fuel or anyway. So we spent about an hour dropping a couple of things on it, knowing full well that it was going to be a long day and a long night to get to the bivouac. So I didn't really think that we'd fixed it, but still hoped that it was it was either a spark or a fuel issue. And the guys sort of stuck with me, and it was a 5K run on dirt tracks to get out to the main road. And I cruised, eyed along. It wasn't running well, as you'd expect.
But it would run, which is surprising.
It did run, yeah.
Because just now when we put the photos on the thing, I spotted what.
Oh no, that's a different engine.
Oh, that's a different engine.
Story.
Oh, okay,
altogether.
that's all right then.
No, but so got out onto the road and tried to get up to a bit of speed.
Yeah.
And I started out at about 80 k's an hour, and within a couple of minutes, things just went worse.
Started to fall apart.
Yeah. So it was like. One of the young Norwegian guy, Hans Christian, pulled over beside me and said, "I'll tow you," and I had a pretty damn good tow strap. So we hooked up, and it was like, "Are you sure?" He's going, "Yeah, I'll tow you." So he towed me for 250 k's on the highway.
Yeah, right.
At anywhere up to 100 k's an hour. So
that's good going.
We had a pretty good rhythm going, and after 250 k's, we had to pull in to get fuel. And it was getting dark, it was the end of the night.
Sketchy.
Yeah, we had a couple of close calls. So we pulled in and fueled up and went to get warm and grab something to eat. And while we were there, one of the ballet vehicles, which is like a sweep truck.
Yeah.
It was just a 4-wheel drive pulled in, and it had ballet on the side of it. And they said, "Put your bike on the back of the ute." And I went, "Well, I don't want to,
retire.
I don't. It's the first day.
Yeah.
Penalties.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't want to. And I've got somebody that can tow me. And they said, "Yeah, but the mountain pass, the roads between here and
Dodgy.
the bivouac, will be sketchy." Anyway, they made a phone call to absolutely confirm that there was no penalty involved at being
or
put on a ballet.
Disqualification or anything
as long as it goes on one of the dedicated ballet vehicles.
Yeah.
You're good.
And realistically, you finished the actual stage. You didn't break down in the stage, so no problem at all. You know? So when I first, because I still hadn't heard this story yet until now, because even when we talked on the telephone a couple of times, but we didn't get into the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah.
And when I saw it on the TV, I was like, oh, first day, and something's happened. And I'm like. They didn't give him any information like that it happened in stage or it happened in transport or where it happened. And I was like, that's got to be a disqualification or some sort of massive penalty for breaking down in the stage.
To make it not worth being there for the next 12
exactly
days.
Right. But it's like you actually were like lucky in some ways that you got out of the stage. You also got most of the way through the transport, halfway through the transport, and then then they put it on the ute.
Yeah. So it went on the ute, and Anders. I was still not confident that whatever it was that I was going to have the parts to be able to repair. So Anders said, look, I've got a spare engine. And fortunately, we were both on the same bike. And he had a spare engine that probably had 400 hours on it already, but hadn't been touched.
Reliable.
Well, it was an unknown quantity because it wasn't his engine. He bought the bike secondhand with a spare engine in a package deal and wasn't aware of sort of what its state was. So anyway, he said, look, I'll punch ahead and get my spare engine out and get it ready for you. And, so I sat in the back of a ute, went up and over the mountains, and it was bang on midnight by the time we got to the bivouac, and no Anders. So they'd been fighting snow and sub-zero temperatures on their bikes, and obviously had to stop every chance they got to warm up to get through it. So I think he turned up at about only half an hour later, about 12:30, and at that time of the night, it wasn't even. What did we do? I pulled the top off the engine, and I could just. So what had happened was one of the rollers on the back end of a rocker arm that sits on the cam had snapped off.
Okay.
So not only had the roller was there, it was identifiable. One of the bloody the shims had dropped out of its little bucket because it was not under pressure anymore. With a headlamp, it wasn't easy to identify, and more to the point, the cam had actually been damaged by the broken section of the rocker.
Do you reckon it ran dry?
No, it didn't run dry.
Didn't run dry, just snapped?
No, I've only found out in the last 6 months or so that that there was a recall on the rocker arms of the rally engines the year that I bought my bike.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that spare engine
had that.
Didn't have those rocker arms, the replacement rocker arms. Anyway, it didn't matter. It didn't matter at that point.
It's one of those things, hey, that's just the way it goes. Like, it's just always something's going to go wrong.
Correct.
No matter what it is, something's going to happen, No matter what you plan for, something's going to happen.
Yeah. So it wasn't, I knew that I didn't have the parts to do a repair, and I also knew that to pull parts out of his spare engine just to repair mine, it was better off just to, the doubt of something dropping in and sort of destroying a gearbox or something. So it was a pretty quick decision to not dwell and to swap the engine out. So, at 1 o'clock in the morning, everybody else is freezing their ass off and gone to bed.
Yeah.
I'm there doing an engine change of my own.
On the first day?
Yeah.
That's fucking rough. That's rough going, right?
So, yeah. And
with what, 8 days to go? No,
another 11.
11 days to go.
Yeah, 12 days. So, and trying to do it all under a headlamp wasn't as smooth as the engine change I did in my own garage with all my tools and concrete floor and whatever. So, I wouldn't say that it was smooth because to do an engine change on those things, you basically need to suspend the bike because the swing arm pivot bolt also holds the engine in.
Yeah, so right.
There's no easy way around it, and it gets a bit clunky when it's, and obviously it doesn't have a frame under the engine to set it up on a stand because the engine's
What did you put it on? On the ground or?
I can't remember how I did it. No, I didn't lay it down, but I cannot remember how.
Just figured out something to put on a bit of wood or something, timber or something, who knows what.
You know what? I can't remember how I achieved it.
Too tired.
Because the foot pegs have to come off as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you can't just prop it up on the foot pegs because they're bolted on with the swing arm pivot bolt. But anyway, by a little bit after 4 o'clock in the morning, I had it done. I was pretty confident I had everything sorted. Packed my tools and shit away, and didn't even have the energy to set up my tent. So I just rolled my sleeping bag out beside my bike and hopped in and
went to sleep.
Right at that time when the dew's starting to come in
the worst time.
So anyway, I got about half an hour's sleep before it was time to get up and get on the bike and get ready to go.
What a nightmare.
Yeah. So anyway,
it makes for a good story though.
It does. So now I've the first 40 Ks of the prologue. Now I've got an engine in the bike that has done about 400 hours on it already.
Yeah.
Without being touched, no fresh rings or piston or anything. So not really knowing what whether that's going to cope with a beating or not.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's nothing you can do, but try and look after it.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
For at least for the first 30 minutes, and then you go, you just
And then
forget
you
about
forget
that.
about
I'm going to win race pace. So started the second day. Which would have been another 500 or 600 Ks total, with virtually no sleep and and a fresh engine or a new
engine.
Fresh to me.
Yeah.
And away we went. So, and then things sort of, I was kind of hoping that was the end of my bad luck, and found a way around that. Didn't get penalised for an engine change.
I was going to ask that. Did you? So no penalty for engine change?
No.
That's lucky.
Maybe, I don't know. I certainly didn't ask the question at the time, and nobody else did. All the guys in the Melmoto category knew that I spent all night doing an engine change.
Yeah.
But I think they thought it was all fair in love and war.
Yeah, for sure.
And on top of that, I think what happened was the event organisers knew that I was the only Aussie in the whole contingent.
Yeah.
And they were fully aware of the logistical nightmare of getting there and just getting to the start line.
Yeah.
And I don't think they mention it in such a term as doing an engine change. I think the way they sort of referred to it as, had some major mechanical repairs or something was good. The terminology they used was almost like they didn't want to make the statement that I'd done an engine change in case somebody asked, and they were looking after me in that way. Possibly.
And the other thing too is, in a lot of ways, you're really suffering with the penalty anyway because you spent all night awake.
Yeah.
Like the fatigue that you get from spending, especially on the first day.
Yeah.
And like after that, you can't ever catch up. You can never catch up on sleep because it only gets worse from there.
Yeah.
Not worse, but like you continue to have sleep deprivation the whole way through.
Yeah.
So in reality, you've sort of copped the penalty already by not getting any sleep.
Yeah.
Which,
Yep.
is a problem.
Yeah.
Everyone else got to get in their cot and have a sleep,
Yeah. Well, arguably I didn't have to ride 250 kilometres over the mountains in freezing cold.
That's true too, yeah.
You know what, I think with an event like that's that long, everybody has their luck and their bad luck.
Yeah, for sure.
And it all evens out. So and that's kind of how the race went from there.
Yeah.
So I think at that point I was just very happy that I was kicking off from there without penalty and with every opportunity to finish the race that I went there to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had sort of dropped off any concept certainly at that point of having some mad performance and achieving any great results. It was just a case of just finish the days and see where you're at the end of the day.
Which I think is kind of the best way to go into any race is just go like, I'm going to ride the best I can and however it ends up at the end of the day, especially in rally, because in rally you don't know what the hell is going on until you get to the end. And at the end they're like, oh, you're in first place. Or at the end they're like, oh, you're in 10th. And you're like, how did that happen? Like I rode as hard as I can and there was 10 people in front of me. You're like, man, that must have been riding fast or whatever.
Yeah, it's tricky though. Like I certainly remember not pushing hard for stage 1, 2, 3 and 4. But in stage 3, didn't you finish second? Outright? Might have been a little bit later than that. I can't remember what stage it was.
It was one of the earlier stages, it's not super early.
Yeah.
But I think they were talking about you'd finally, after having engine problems, you'd finally found your rhythm.
Yeah.
And all the front runners got lost. And you and another Malimoto guy was like in first and in second and third or something.
Yeah.
But sometimes backing off and getting your notes right is the go, right? Like
true. I wouldn't say that I was backing off at that point. I reckon that might have been stage 4.
Yeah, it could have been.
Just simple things like I had a small mechanical a long stage, I had to switch to the rear tank, and then it started to play up, and I had to stop and pull the seat off the bike and check it out. And I think what had happened was when I pulled the tank off the bike to empty it out, it had to be flushed out to, because it went on an aeroplane over there, you basically had to get rid of all the petrol fumes and shit. So the tank had to come off and be flushed and emptied. And I hadn't quite clipped the electrical connector onto the rear
Back
fuel
on.
pump.
Yeah.
So it must have rattled loose at a point. So, you lose 20 minutes there pissing around, and you afford yourself that opportunity because you're not racing for sheep stations at a point.
Yeah.
And then, and then when you do get a bit of rhythm, you ride on the – I knew that there was guys lost because I saw them ride off on the wrong line, on a line that I thought was wrong.
Yeah.
And it was a day where it was 30 Ks straight across the dune system, cross country.
Yeah.
And then we got on these tracks, and the first 30 Ks across the dunes was a bit of a killer. It was really soft stand.
It looked like it was soft stand. I think I've got a video there. Just Sonia, can you bring up a video there on the drive there on the drive here, and scroll down to the bottom maybe. I think it is.
I hope it's not of me getting bogged.
No, scroll. Oh yeah, it is one of these ones. I think it's one where you're getting bogged. Exactly right. You're bogged
right off the start of the stage.
Oh, is that the start of the stage?
Yeah.
Yes.
The longer he is here, the better he's getting. After a 36-hour journey from Australia to get to the start line, the jet lag has worn off for Scott Britnell, who, despite some trouble in the dunes, finished third and first Motul Extreme rider.
all the cameramen are running away.
Yeah. And you can guarantee that I'm huffing and puffing there.
Oh, I bet, yeah. But the sand looks so soft over there.
That happened twice on that stage.
Yeah.
I buried it in a little impression. You just couldn't tell the difference between the soft and the hard.
Yeah.
Maybe the pros can, but I was on the same line as everybody else, yet my front buried in right there.
Yeah. Well, I talked to, Toby Hedricks and Andrew Houlihan and stuff, and they reckon they can't tell the difference anywhere. They just ride along and all of a sudden it's soft and it's just sucks you in, then over the handlebars,
Yep.
And I don't think anyone can really tell. It doesn't seem like,
No, I think it depends on where you are. In some sand you can just see the crest is just a little bit of a different colour.
Yeah.
And you can predict it there. But everybody talks about the sand in Mauritania as it's just totally different. It's so dry that it's just hard to read.
Yeah.
And it's just like talcum powder.
Yeah, and you can notice that. That's interesting that you say that, because you can notice that even if you go to Simpson Desert or you go anywhere else, in the morning when there's a bit of dew on the ground, the sand is nice and it packs down and it's nice and it gets plenty of grip. And then the day gets hotter and it gets 35 degrees and it becomes powdery almost, and it becomes noticeably harder to ride in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just throughout a single day.
Yeah.
And then if you imagine Mauritania hasn't rained for probably 5 years, probably doesn't. No, seriously, it doesn't rain there forever.
Yeah,
and so it's dry sand.
So everything's dry. If there's wind, which you tend to get in the desert, it's the wind that makes the soft sections.
Blows up the light sand or whatever.
The rest is hard because it's hard packed.
Yeah.
Over time, but there's also not any vegetation or anything to sort of hold it together. So and then if you're back in the field a little bit, the race line is already chopped up, and there's probably a few guys at the front that have done that many rallies and are good riders that they pick the good line, and then every line subsequent to that is
next to it is
the B line, the C line, and by the time you're a few back in the pack, you're riding the Z line, or you're trying to ride the A and the B line, but you haven't got the same skill level or maybe the same power of, in the bike, to be able to hit things at the same speed and therefore achieve it, even if it was a good day. So, speaking of, so I was lucky enough to finish a stage second because of a lot of people got lost.
Yeah.
And that was
second outright, right?
Yeah.
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 And so you must have finished first in the Mallee Moto class then.
that day. Yeah.
That day,
yeah, absolutely.
That
But
day,
I'd already given up a bit of time.
Of course,
So what happened on that day? The day got cancelled. So there was a lot of people lost. When I got to the refuel truck, which was just a truck parked in the middle of a clay pan with an aeroplane beside it, there's only one guy there. I'm going, well, where's everybody else? And they're going, they're all lost. So I'm sitting there, and it's a 20-minute, session that you get there. So you get 20 minutes to refuel.
Like a designated time zone, refuel zone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the GPS system counts you down, so you know how long you've got to wait. But anyway, so I'm sitting there, and leading up to it, maybe 20 minutes before I got to the refuel, the event organisers in a little Cessna flying along at about 10 metres above the ground level, right there beside me, waving to me. And so he came up to me and he goes, I hope I didn't, I hope you weren't uncomfortable with the aeroplane sort of being so close to you and whatever. And I said, no, it's okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I took off out of the refuel second behind a guy on a Tenere on one of the world raids. So he's so we're going, and I knew at that point that I was leading or in second.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I might as well take advantage of it because all the fast guys still hadn't even got to the refuel.
Yeah. Right.
So we took off, and it was pretty challenging terrain. And then all of a sudden, on the GPS system, it said stage cancelled. So I was riding with the guy in front. We were basically together, and he sort of backed off because he'd seen the same thing.
Yeah.
And we just stopped and had a quick conversation, and we just went, well, we'll just keep, we need to get out of the stage. And we
You've got to go that way anyway.
We probably had about 40 Ks to go.
Oh, that's not too bad then.
And we were pretty well shitters by then because it was some pretty soft stand.
Yeah.
And so what had happened, the reason the stage got cancelled, I thought it was because there was just people lost everywhere and they weren't going to be able to get them all back in.
Yeah.
But what had happened was the little aircraft went to take off on a hard packed bloody clay pan, but he had it parked maybe 40 metres away from the fuel truck.
Yeah.
But he'd made a wrong call and went to take off, probably too close to the refuel truck. Got a bit of crosswind as he's gone to take off, and the crosswind has pushed him into the refuel truck. So he's crashed the plane into the refuel truck. There's a poor Italian guy was the only one on that side of the refuel truck fueling up. He got hit with the tail of the aircraft, smashed into the refuel truck, his bike and him, and wrote the aircraft off. Didn't catch fire.
Lucky.
Only one person hurt, which was an Italian rider.
But then the chop. Andrea Perforetti, is it Perforetti?
Right.
Something like this. The only reason I remember that is I watched back those one this morning.
Yeah.
And it said it was a malfunction, but I don't think it wasn't a malfunction.
I think it was just a poor judgment.
Yeah.
I think that's why these races, why they loved racing the Paris-Dakar and every other rally that runs in North Africa, because you don't have CASA, you don't have an equivalent there to come into the middle of Mauritania and do an air crash investigation for a small aircraft, So I bet that aircraft's still sitting in the middle of the desert,
abandoned,
having been poached of parts.
Yeah.
But it's like the Mauritanian government's not going to come and question. So I guess they. That's the freedom of North Africa, I suppose.
Yeah. So because when you and I were talking after you came back from the rally, I thought what you were saying was that the plane had taken off, got a bit of crosswind, and he was still on the ground, as in he was just taking off, as he was just taxiing, if that makes sense. He was taxiing, and then he swung the tail around and hit old mate. No. But he was actually flying, about to take off, like flying. No wonder old mate got hurt so badly then, because he got fucking damaged badly.
Well, they put him in an induced coma. And then flown back to Italy, and I don't know
what happened to him.
Yeah,
after that.
I haven't seen anything of.
I mean, it's probably lucky he was probably wearing his airbag, and he's probably maybe he didn't have his helmet on, but he had his airbag on at least, I guess.
He's lucky he would have had his helmet on. Just you tend to roll into a refuel, you fill up as your priority, and then you take your gear off and
that's right.
sort of
So maybe he still had his helmet on as well.
Hopefully, yeah. But anyway,
yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's a wild story.
So I guess as a result of all of that, they ended up taking the day's time back to rolling into the refuel.
Yeah.
So I finished up second on the stage for that day, which is probably where I would have finished anyway, had the stage been complete. But
yeah, for sure.
It's just the way it is. But what it was good, I guess for the majority of the race, I was leaving in the top 10 outright.
Yeah, which helps a lot.
Which is a great experience.
Yeah.
Because you haven't got that many tracks on the ground.
Yep.
You are forced to navigate because there's not enough track there to be comfortable. And I always try to navigate anyway. But it was just really good to take off, know that you had 3 minutes of clear airspace, so you weren't in dust, you weren't taking off in twos.
Yeah.
And you had 3 minutes of clearance behind you as well. So it was just really good to be in a rally of that sort of that calibre and be in the top 10 to experience that.
Yeah,
and
for
certainly
sure.
on day two. Coming second out lasted for about 40 Ks and I took a wrong turn.
That's what happens usually.
Yeah, I missed a turn coming out of a creek line and I was like, well.
But I was gonna say you must have navigated pretty bloody well throughout the whole race because like that call must have been right because a few people got it right? And so and like when you look at it and you see them going the wrong way, you're like, that seems like the wrong way. I'm pretty sure it's here. And you got it right. The call must be, the tulip must be correct.
Yep.
Just that those guys are going flat out and
Yeah.
a little bit too fast and just missed it. Or they follow each other, which happens a lot.
I think there was a case. Yeah, there's a bit of that, but I think for the guys at the front, you wouldn't normally expect that. It was a little bit of a crosswind, and we followed when we got out of the dunes. We followed a track system. It was one of those cases where you might have 8 to 10, maybe 15 different wheel tracks. Where they've driven this line for a while, and then there's potholes, so they've driven. So the actual track on the right bearing for 15 or 20 Ks, if you sort of had a heavy left, you could be 100 metres off the line without even knowing it. And then when there's a subtle veer off to the right at a can about that high where there's dust and there's no tracks or anything because you're getting that cross breeze blowing it away when it's straight
blown
away
down the road a bit.
So if you misjudge something that is a natural form that they're using as your reference point, it's just so easy to.
Oh, for sure.
It could have only been a subtle 10-degree bearing change.
Yeah.
And if it's easy to convince yourself sometimes that I'm on the right track.
Oh, for sure it is, 100%.
And I can see dust a couple of kilometres ahead.
Yeah, that must be another rider.
So
So even on your notes at African Eco Race, you've got cap headings.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Every single note has a cap heading. Because you obviously got cap headings when you're off piste, but
no, most have cap headings.
Yeah, so if you've got a cap heading, you should sort of know the direction you should be going.
Yeah, but it's easy to convince yourself.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. That there's a couple of degrees in it. When they set it up, and they set it up from a specific point, probably in a static, and work it out. So it is good to have that cap heading, but where's the cap heading relevant? It's bang on the turn, and then 50 metres rolling through that.
It starts to change.
Yeah. So I guess they deliberately do that sort of stuff.
Oh, for sure.
But it can be at a critical time where your next tulip isn't for another 15 kilometres, and it's not until you get there that you.
Then you've wasted a lot of time.
And then you could be at a couple of 100 metres, and it takes a while for you to go. Oh, Max, you could be off into the Ulus.
Yeah, literally.
And that could burn you an extra 40 or 50 Ks worth of fuel
that you don't have.
That you don't have. They have to refuel in that race they commit to refueling you every 250 k's. So on a proper rally bike, if you're not at the front where you're calculating your fuel loads and you just fill up full every time, then 250 k's is doable.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? So you've got plenty of fat there, but it can run out pretty quickly.
Yeah, especially if you get lost for 50 k's, 25 k's each way. And
late in the stage or whatever it is. So, but it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, you seem to really, really, even though how fatigued you must have been, you were performing super well. I was so surprised when you were that far up the pointy end. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Especially Malimoto, like working on your bike every night. Did you have to do much to the bike after the first engine change?
No, it was pretty well regular maintenance from there.
Yeah.
I don't think I had to do, anything anything left field. I got through the entire race without a crash.
Oh, that's good.
Rare.
Yeah, right, rare for everyone.
When you compare it to my my experiences of Dakar, it was quite different there. But I went over the bars twice, just when the bike buried into the dunes, and just basically just a forward somersault, landed flat on my back, with an airbag on, and the bike didn't even fall over.
Oh, right.
So yeah, I mean, the bike was in good shape for pretty much everything from thereafter. I didn't really have anything come loose or have to replace anything except for the last day. So I had a good run mechanically.
Yeah.
And the servicing of a night time, wasn't that intense for the most part. The only sort of thing that I did get, so late in the race, this nemesis of a Harley Davidson was also, so I don't remember names real well, but is an Italian guy who had done Dakar 15 odd times.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name either.
Yeah, he's a big heavy unit.
Yeah, but he's riding a Harley adventure bike or whatever, which
what do they call it? They call that thing Pan America.
Yeah, Pan America. Yeah.
So he was riding that thing box stock. So had done no performance changes to it, no suspension changes to it.
Still riding it. That's crazy.
Yeah. So because of he's a good rider, right? On a big pig of a bike, the speed of the event is capped at 150 k's an hour. So I think the thing with the bigger bikes, the Yamaha World Raids and the Aprilias and the Harley Davidson, 1200 cc's is plenty of power.
Yeah.
As long as you've got a straight line, you can achieve whatever speed you want to. He was smart enough. God knows how he got it through the dunes, but on the rest of the terrain, even when we were cross country, there was a few times where I overtook him, knowing full well that he was just going steady because a big bike that's 250 kilos is not something you want to just bash through terrain because you know that if it gets bad, it's going to get nasty.
Yeah.
So he would deliberately back off, but as soon as you got to the wide open stuff that was easily 150 k an hour type terrain, he'd be sitting on 150 all the time. Whereas the little 450s could achieve 150, but when you had a crosswind or a headwind, or
you got to wind her up.
You got to wind her up and hold it flat, and he would just sort of cruise through on the really easy wide open terrain. So I guess for what he had to sacrifice, he was able to make up by just holding high speed when it was on offer. And he wasn't, because of the size of the bloody thing, he wasn't running Moose, but he was running tyres that even with that thing, he could run them like he could get a puncture and finish the stage and still run on it.
Really?
Because he wasn't pushing through hard rocks and whatever.
Yeah,
it was just he kind of had a slight advantage there that compensated. So anyway, we were sort of battling for a position. I had wood on him going into the last stage, which was about a 75k finish stage in Senegal, which they have never done before, and I thought I'll maintain my position and I'll see if I can. It was only like a minute or two in it So he's so I've ripped off and I've overtaken maybe 4 or 5 guys in the stage.
Yeah.
Who were obviously quicker guys that had probably just backed off to, there was no need for them to be pushing, and I just went to overtake a guy and upshift and no gear lever. Fuck, you kidding me? So I sort of pulled the clutch in, pulled over on the side of the track. I'm in third gear, no gear lever. So
that's a problem.
Ride the clutch, go back. I mean, how far back could it be? So I might have ridden I backtracked for maybe a kilometre. Like I knew that I'd change gears
within that,
not that far back. Didn't find it.
No.
And I went, well.
That thing had cartwheel like 300 metres before it stopped, probably, if you're going.
Yeah, well, it only has to drop into the soft sand.
I agree, or it could just,
Yeah.
You don't know.
Anyway, and I had a gear lever on me somewhere on the bike, but do you think I could remember where it was? And I wasn't going to, I had 40 Ks of stage to go, and I went, well, I mean, I'm probably in a reasonable gear in third.
If it's wide open, it's perfect.
So, just punched it and tried to smooth out the corners. So I wasn't having to, feeling like I wanted to drop into first, and there was a bit of tricky nav. Anyway, got to the finish, sort of did the last 40 Ks of the race, or of that was the second last stage. The last stage I wouldn't count.
No,
it's 25K run up the beach.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, and it's penultimate, so it doesn't affect the change of the position or whatever. So, I'm pretty heavy on my lock wire, on drill and bolts and lock wire.
Yep.
And the engine I went over there with
had all that.
The bolt that holds the gear lever on was lock wired, but when I did an engine change,
took that off.
None of those things are there anymore. There probably wasn't any Loctite on the end of that little bolt, and whatever. So
all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
it just took 10 days to happen.
At least everything that happened just at the right time, if that makes sense for you to scrape straight through. You know what I mean? Which is always good. It's not a disaster, but it's still something that's like a technical problem that you had, which is good.
Yeah.
But how is West Africa now? Is it pretty good now compared to what it used to be? Because Senegal apparently is getting a bit dodgy again, but I mean Morocco's a bit like that too, but it's not too bad.
I think that entire region, regardless of what country you're in, I guess probably less Morocco, but Mauritania and Senegal. I guess first up, there was always military, so four-wheel drives full of soldiers that were at critical points along the route.
Yeah.
Because anywhere in any of those three countries, if the further into the desert you get and away from the majority of civilization is where the bandits are all, harbouring up out in the desert. So they kind of have control in all three of those countries. There is still fairly significant risk.
Yeah.
But the governments and the armies of those countries have kind of got a demarcation, I suppose. The bandits stay out in the desert. And everywhere else is relatively safe. So we didn't really. It was never briefed. We didn't really get exposed to it too much. But I think there was a fairly significant amount of government support, to make sure that they didn't have an international incident occurring. And, there was always a few soldiers just far enough away from the bivouac at night to not be relevant.
Well, that's actually where the question comes from, is because I was looking at some footage of the bivouac the other day, and they'd pushed up like a trench almost, like a mound around the bivouac, and then there was like cars parked sort of outside the bivouac just every now and then. And I was like, it looks like that's like military security sort of thing. And I was like, I wonder what that is. It might have been on the rest day. I was thinking about it.
It'd be whether that's a true threat, or whether it's
just a presence.
So the event wants people to get that experience of being in the middle of nowhere. So they tend to put the bivouac in a remote location.
Yeah.
Reality is it's only a couple of kilometres from town.
Yeah.
So So that security is probably relevant to keep the locals from coming out and wandering through the bivouac and probably stealing shit.
Yeah.
So not necessarily threat, but just people coming in. It's just easier to control if they push it out there. But the reality is you still need water. You still need amenities fairly close as a result. But
I remember when Max said he did the old original Dakars in Africa, and the locals would just walk through at night and just pick up whatever was not tied down, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And just take off with it,
Yeah.
And so it's probably not much different now, except that it's probably a little bit more calm compared to what it was then.
Probably, yeah.
Because I think they kidnapped 3 French tourists and they didn't end well.
Yeah.
So and that's ended up being where they changed Dakar from where it was to South America.
Yep.
So because they were like, that's enough for that.
They couldn't guarantee the level of safety that you should expect.
And I think the other thing too is I think a few cars got shot at and stuff too, and bullet holes in cars, and people like a few quite near misses too, where you're like, well, that's a bit dodgy. So they were like, yeah, that's enough of that. We'll just change countries now, which would have hurt like West Africa a lot because they would have been getting probably a fair bit of money from that, like incoming.
So I think what happened with the Dakar Rally at very much it would have been roughly at the same time was the rights to the event were sold.
Yes.
So when the current Amori Sport organisation that owns Dakar now, when they took it on, it's a big money spinner. Like it's second only to Formula One for spectator sport. And if you think about that, like Formula One's massive in Europe.
Massive, yeah.
It has such a big following, but for a rally event that you really only get 30 minutes of coverage a day, for it to be the second biggest sporting event in the world now, not back then, but when ASO took it on, it's a money-making sort of deal. So for them to take it on in North Africa, I think was probably a bit of a challenge and didn't really it would have been a tough do. And because it's a money-making deal, when they went to South America, they were basically charging the home country $1 million a day to run the event in their country. So the money was actually coming from the government to the sport organisation because of the coverage that their country gets because the event's there. The North African countries, I don't think they would have ponied up to that.
No, I doubt it.
So,
and I think that's actually why it ended up not being in South America anymore either, because
absolutely,
it eventually I think it was Chile, Argentina, and Peru or whatever, and then eventually I can't remember which 2 countries were like, nah, we don't want any more, go away, sort of thing. And then they basically sold. They didn't want to have the event, and I think that's why they only had the Chile one. It was Chile only, or it was Peru only? I can't remember. But
Peru only, I think, was the last off.
Yeah. So and then they had it in Peru only, and then eventually they moved it. Yeah. And then obviously like the Saudis are, they're happy to pay.
Yeah.
Because they need a good rap, number one, but also they got plenty of money.
Yeah.
So they're happy to pay, and they'll probably continue to pay for endlessly probably.
Yep.
Because
it's great terrain.
Yeah, it is good terrain. And especially like last year's or this year's event was awesome. Apparently, like really difficult, really interesting. Technical, hard. And they ran cars and bikes separately through separate sections too.
Yep.
So you have a bike section that's going to be hard for bikes, and you have a car section that's adequately challenging for the cars too, but you can't run a car where a bike can go. A bike can go on much harder terrain than the cars can.
True.
And so they'll send the bikes up dumb, hard enduro hills almost, apparently, to really, sort the boys out from the men. So
and what it also does for the cars, not that we're car people, but it means that the cars are then forced to navigate
100%
to a far greater degree than to follow 100 motorbike tracks, which they're not really navigating other than in close to the checkpoints to make sure they hit them. It would be good for them to have things balanced out as well. But
100%.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and the other thing too is they're no fear of hitting run up the back of a bike or something like that and run them over and killing someone,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be a good day,
Yeah, no.
So,
Which has all been done before.
oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
So, yeah.
And even spectators too. Spectators are wild enough as well. Like
Yeah.
stand on the track or whatever, and get run over, and then wonder why, wonder why someone's been run over, which is not exactly ideal. But at least on a bike, you don't do that too much.
No.
So
No, you've got your own battles.
definitely,
So,
definitely your own battles.
Yeah.
But no. So give us look at some of these pictures you've got going up here.
I got no idea where that'd be.
You were saying the terrain, like it wasn't as hard as Dakar. Like the terrain wasn't as hard.
It can't have been because I didn't fall off.
Yeah.
So, technically, no. I was still fatigued at the end of every day. I wonder if. So we're talking about North Africa, West Africa, in the wintertime, cooler.
Yeah.
When I did Dakar, it was South America, summer. So I was dealing with higher daytime temps in Dakar compared to this.
And altitude as well.
Yeah. So this was more of a comfortable climate.
Yeah.
Regardless of the terrain, which sort of has a fairly big effect, particularly cumulative. So there was still some pretty shitty terrain.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it, maybe not for as long at a time, in this particular race, a 30 to 40K dune section was about max.
Yeah,
I remember being in pure dunes in Dakar, say, for 105 Ks, I think it was. They were claiming at the time it was the longest dune section in history.
Yeah, right.
How they plucked those out of their ass, I don't know. But, we didn't quite have that in this, but I certainly remember coming out of a 40K dune section here, just rat shit.
Yeah.
Just shitters and
cooked.
So I think it was probably just as fatiguing, but maybe it was also the fact that the caliber of rider here wasn't quite the same as what I had in Dakar, and therefore I was more at the front of the pack here,
like pointy end,
and therefore the chopped up terrain wasn't quite as tough as it was in Dakar, and and then on top of that, the cars never caught me on this race, whereas in Dakar I was overtaken by cars, which then destroys the track to another level in Dakar. So perhaps all of those those aspects. The bike's still looking fairly good there.
Did you see the lead car on the last stage? He came in and did a donut in the crowd and rolled it on its roof.
Did it? The only fast looking car.
Yeah, the only fast looking car.
I did not see that.
Yeah,
I did not see that.
Came in, and what they do is in the coverage, he comes in, sort of starts doing a donut. They cut it, but then I can't remember what his name is now, but I followed him, and he's in the car, him and his co-driver, right,
and they rolled it.
Hooks up, and they rolled it.
Right. They weren't my favourite people anyway.
Showing off.
A couple of arrogant people anyway.
Yeah, right.
What have we got here? This is one of my Norwegian mates that we had the banter going on in the Melmoto category, and most of the photos that I've got here were probably him taking photos because I'm shit at taking photos.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we were having jokes there at some point, but.
Did a lot of the Melimoto riders finish, or was it still pretty high attrition rate?
There would have. What did we start with? We had 28 or 29, and I reckon there would have been about 20 that finished.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, a few with massive penalties 30%. For mechanicals and stuff. I would need to go and look at the stats to confirm that they didn't have a day off here and there. Because in this race, you could
have a whole day off.
You could not make the bivouac and spend a day fixing your bike and get back into the race. So
just to complete it, sort of thing.
Well,
but as a non-competitor, or still as a competitor.
Well, you might have a 36-hour penalty, which takes you out, but which means you're starting at the back, but you can still then be competitive that day. I don't think anybody really trail rides after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, non-competitive. That previous photo, I can't remember whether it was stage 8 or 9. it was a super windy day. The event organisers, because we had what do we have the day before? Something that had occurred. On this particular day, they really wanted us to race, but in true European style, there was they drove us out to the start of the stage. So all the motorbikes went out with the event organisers. They flew the chopper to try and demonstrate that it wasn't too dangerous to race. But we all got out there, and then it was a shitty, windy day. You know, the visibility was affected pretty badly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a great place to be. And then they basically got there's the race winner in 22, and I think that's Yamaha rider from Dakar. So the front two riders,
Italian fella. I can't think of the names either.
Yeah, I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, I think all the other riders kind of pushed them to the front, and they went, well, today's not the day to race because it's going to be more dangerous than, so it was a bit of banter there for at least half an hour.
Yeah.
And in the end, the race organisers went, well, it's going to occur. You need to go and line up, and I just went, no, we're not racing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So then we did the 50 Ks back to the bivouac and got ready for I think it was from a bivouac where we were doing a clover leaf. So So we were going to start and finish at the same bivouac. So it didn't have any huge effect logistically on the event. So we cancelled that stage through revolt. And to be honest, at that particular point, it might have been stage 8 or 9. I don't remember, but it was a day I was quite happy to.
Yeah, have a rest.
Yeah, in a way. Let it roll that way, but yeah.
Yeah, I often think, as long as providing they have a helicopter fly around and have like the ambulances come out, I'm happy to run any terrain, any time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like a safari this year sort of pissed me off a little bit because definitely the first day was a nightmare. It was pouring rain. I didn't take a motocross tyre with me, so I was running a rally tyre in the heavy mud. Yeah. So it made it difficult for me and a lot of other guys. But there's a few guys that ran motocross tyres, and it helped them a lot. Yeah. But then even on the last day, like day 4, we're still cancelling stages because there's too much water around. And it's like, I don't think that's a problem, right? Like by day 2, okay, let's cancel one stage. But day 3 and 4, it was pretty dry by then. Like it was like there was a few big sections of water where you just got to be cautious. Yeah. And like, even if the zero car runs around and puts a stake in the ground and says triple caution for the water, that is fine. But like, why are we cancelling stages 4 days in the sand, in sandy terrain where it sort of sucks the water up pretty well. Yep. So I think you should. If it catches you out, well, that's your fault, True. And if it doesn't, well, that's good. That means it's to your advantage, to some degree. So, I'd definitely rather run more stages than less, even if it's shitty terrain. I
can remember on that particular day I was not disappointed that they cancelled.
But after 8 days you start to get real tired and just like, oh, I'm happy.
Yeah. It was maybe a consideration there in comparison to the example you've given here is there is no protection out there.
And no hospitals close by?
Oh, not so much that, but the crosswind. When you've got wind there and you're either probably at least 50% of the time you're getting a crosswind.
Yeah.
And when you try to add speed to a crosswind,
it makes it worse.
It doesn't take much to get a bit of air under your front wheel and and find yourself sort of crashing on shit that you wouldn't have. And the reality is you're probably doing 50, 60 Ks an hour. If it was perfect conditions, you'd be flat out.
Yeah, that's right.
So, because your visibility is affected. So I can the guys that made the decision and represented it from a rider's perspective are people that had done, Vittori was the name of the...
Vittori, that's him,
who's a Yamaha factory rally rider for a long time. Yeah. And an ex-Italian rugby union player.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There you go.
But anyway, at 55 or 56 years old,
Yep.
he's still running at the front of this.
Pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's about 120 kegs.
Yeah, right.
So he's a big unit.
Yeah.
Who, by the time I get to the bivouac, he's been there for 20 minutes, half an hour. And
Waiting for you.
He's got his fluffy slippers on and his bathrobe. He's strutting down or strutting back from the shower. But anyway, I put the amount of experience that is in those guys at the front.
Yeah.
If they're not happy to go out and race on that given day, and it's the competitors making the decision, not
For sure, not the organisers.
Yeah, to cancel. Then
Yeah.
I was kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
on that given day. And this is probably where we ended up having a couple of drinks, and again, there's Big Anders at the back. He's a 6 foot
he's a big
seven,
fella, isn't he?
6'7", 62 or 3 years old. I first met him in Mongolia, but he's just this.
Were you riding with him in Mongolia?
No.
Or he just happened to be there?
No, when I went through there with Adam Ryman and filmed the Moto Nomad 2 movie,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but he just came up on social media or something like that, and I think he was getting ready to go and race Dakar or something. He'd been to Dakar,
Yeah.
and I knew his name, and I knew that he was in Mongolia, and I just. I wanted to talk to somebody about going to do Dakar at the time. So it's just an opportunity to touch somebody, and have a conversation. And so I first met him way back in 2015, and he's worked in Mongolia for the last 10 years on and off.
Yeah, right.
And run a mining subsidiary company there.
Oh, okay, I see.
And whatever. So he kind of lives there, works, and then goes home to Sweden, or so he's been there, speaks English okay, and he's got the same crazy passion as I have.
Yeah.
So we've kind of just stayed in touch very, very loosely. This is the first time I've actually been on a bike with him.
Yeah, right.
And he came last minute. So
he doesn't take his bike to Mongolia and ride around Mongolia as well?
yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, he's he's got bikes in Mongolia. And rides, but I guess it's never quite worked out that he's had an opportunity to take time off work in Mongolia to come riding motorbikes.
Yeah.
No, he does hundreds and hundreds of kilometres in Mongolia.
Yeah.
For training and whatever, and just for his own enjoyment.
Yep.
So, but anyway, and that's Hans Christian there, who, what's he? He's a Norwegian commercial pilot.
Yeah, right.
At about 28 years old.
Yeah, good work.
Lippy little fucker he is too. The banter was strong.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
And how are the bivouacs? They're pretty good there? They're just pretty basic?
Yeah, really rudimentary in comparison to Dakar.
Yeah.
And you can see the difference in budget. No, the super rudimentary.
Yeah, right.
Showers might have been a little trickle. Like some days there wasn't enough water pressure to have a shower.
So like regular Africa then?
Yeah, no, super.
Do you know what's funny? So Sonia and I rode around East Africa, like as you know, and that's the biggest problem that I had. Like apart from flat tires on the bike, the biggest problem we had was the friggin' showers were either no water pressure and cold.
Yeah.
Or there was like sometimes you have water pressure, sometimes you wouldn't, depends. But then it would either be freezing cold and you get like 30 seconds of hot water and that's all you get and you use cold shower. And okay, fine. But then one or two places it was so boiling hot that you couldn't get any cold water. So you couldn't even sit under the shower. The cold shower was better than the hot shower. And this was at like regular places in town.
Yeah.
Like not out of town or at a bivouac or a pits, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was such a strange thing.
That was your 4-star.
Yeah, literally 4-star African hotels.
Yeah.
So it's very strange. But funny.
What do we got up there?
Road book.
Yeah, what is that? That's probably so in this particular event they publish the amendments or the changes to the road book.
Oh yeah.
Just throw it on an app. So you kind of go to the app, which is why it's not a bad looking image.
You run digital road books?
You had the option to run a digital road book on this or
paper
or go paper.
Yeah.
Any
brand you wanted to or specific brand?
No, it had to be provided by them.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So the digital road book, which was I was super skeptical and I sort of still am, but I did not hear too many complaints from the guys that were running digital. road books that were provided, digital road books, other than its physical size being a little bit too big for a motorbike, in my opinion.
The sort of the feedback I'm getting now is that they're getting a lot better.
Yeah.
But you look at like Chucky this year, he had heaps of problems with his.
Right.
Heaps of problems. Like he had 7 replacement road books, I think, or at least 7 problems.
Sure.
Whether or not they replaced the road book altogether, or whether or not they had to fix some firmware problem
that had an effect on his.
Yeah. And like even when I spoke to Toby about it, like they were trying to penalise him in a stage for breaching a speed zone. And so what all the pro riders were doing, all the factory riders were doing, they had a GoPro permanently hooked up facing the roadbook all the time.
Right.
So if the roadbook fucked up and they were speeding or got lost or something happened.
To defend themselves.
Yeah. And a couple of times, I think Chucky was doing the right speed through the speed zone, and the only reason he got off was he caught up to another rider, or another rider came with him and filmed him doing the right thing, and and that's how he got off the penalty.
Yeah, right.
And so,
yeah,
like I think the biggest problem is that ISO, and I don't know what African Eco Race do, but they get these French-made road books that are pieces of shit and they don't work well. And if you go and get an F2R or some other brand of road book that's going to work really well as a digital road book, it won't ever have problems.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's the way that the French look after the French, you know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, and they have an inferior product that they're trying to push everyone to have.
Well, they've put a lot of money into R&D, be it in the right place or not. So they've probably got a guarantee that if we develop a digital road book, we've got the contract for the next 10 years.
That's what it is.
So they can't exactly just flip and change, and they certainly can't allow competitors to bring their own device, because there'd be no possible way they would be able to interrogate that device to know that it.
Yeah, I totally agree. But get something that works and is reliable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't get something that's constantly having problems, especially when you think about how much money's involved. In and investments involved in, let's say, Yamaha or Honda or KTM or Husqvarna getting involved. You know,
this particular system is the Stella. So Stella is Spanish, but I'm pretty sure its base product is Spanish. Origins. But that's what they use in. It's the same system that they use for Baja.
Oh yeah, okay.
So the Stella was shown on a photo earlier on like mounted on a bike, and it's when you go to the digital version, so digital road book, you don't get a separate GPS unit. It's built into built into the tablet.
Yeah.
So I can understand how Chucky's would have been a problem, because I would assume that Dakar's still running a GPS unit mounted to the top of the bars, and then the road book is separate. And that's why the GPS would have picked up speed penalties, because it's all in the GPS. But his road book, whereas in this particular event, if your road book fails and you're speeding through a speed control zone, because your road book's failed, so too is the GPS.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have picked up a penalty. So I can understand how Chucky would have, or how that system would have been.
Yeah, I don't know if they have that inbuilt in the system now or what, but yeah, and I don't know the full story of exactly how it happened, but it's something like around this that happened. But I know that that's what they're doing now, especially like at Hellas Rally and stuff. The digital road book is everything, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's all built in.
Yep.
It does all the tracking. It even has your...
It's probably the same system, I don't know.
It could be, it could be. So, yeah. But is that when you got your bike?
That, by the look of the sign on the left, is that bike crated up, ready to come home.
Yeah, right. So that's a picture that old mate sent you, was it?
Yep.
So did they fix? So did they fix your blown up motor?
Yeah.
Over there, and then you gave the other motor back to old mate, or you fixed up for him and go back to him. Whatever.
The engine I borrowed off Anders was still in my bike at the end of Africa.
Yeah.
Went back to Paris with that engine in it, because clearly there's no option for me to swap an engine out at the end of the race.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I mean, Europe's a big place, but it was just easier to send the bike back with the good engine that I ran on in it back to a known point. These guys were awesome. The owner of Horizon Moto in Paris had done Africa Eco Race the year before.
Yep.
He's a bit of a very good cat. So I just sent the bike back there. My original engine went back there, and I said, before you put it in, can you fix it? Assuming that the cost to repair my engine in Europe was going to be cheaper on parts.
It would
than
be
paying the KTM price of distance that Australia suffers from. So effectively he tore the top end of my engine down. What did he do? He replaced the rings.
So what ended up happening? The rocker arm played up. Did that close the valve, leave the valve closed, or did it force the valve open?
There was no damage inside.
Oh, that's good.
So it was really just the rocker arm and then a cam. The cam was the most expensive part of that, and I don't even think he took he didn't even have to take the head off because he found the he found the shim.
Yep.
Dropped in a little pocket up top, so we were able to account for everything.
Yep.
Up top. So what did he do? He repaired my engine, my top end, put it back in the bike. As an agreement, I suppose, I put a new piston in Anders's engine. Which it's a $3,500 piston, so it's not cheap. Not cheap. And so they did that work, refurbished his engine with a fresh piston, and just sent it back to Sweden to him. Sort of, it'd be no different to putting an engine in a crate and sending it down to Melbourne here in Australia. So it was pretty simple, but it was just good to have somebody to receive the bike from customs and whatever when it got air freighted over there, and then pull the home built crate out or down and store it, and then be able to put it all back together.
So you built this one?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
The crate, the basis of the crate was like a tyre display from the local Bridgestone tyre place, and I said, and it was designed to be collapsible, so the ends just collapsed down. So I put a floor in it, relied on it, and basically when you take the bike out of it, it all folds down, and then my little bloody core flute top for a bit of weather protection just drops down over it. It's almost like a flat pack.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
And so I get conflicting stories. Did it cost you much to ship your bike over there and back?
Yeah.
It's expensive?
Yeah.
More. This is what I think. Is it okay? The bikes. Let's say everything's 200 kilos, like all in. It's probably not even that.
Yep.
It can be stacked in a plane or on a boat pretty easily. You wouldn't think it'd be more than a flight, in overseas for one person. In my head. That's how I'm working it out. Yeah. But apparently, it's a lot more.
So this crate, in its full form, the weight of the crate, the weight of 5 wheels, and the bike and everything, came in at about 235 kilos.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
The dimensions of that crate with air freight, I had an allocation of I think 370 kilos. Just based on volume.
Yeah.
So they charge you for the 370 kilos of volume, even though you're not using it.
Yeah.
So what did I pay there? Somewhere close to $8,000 to get it over to Europe.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing now.
Yeah,
that's expensive.
It is. Yep. I think it works out to be about $6 to $8 a kilo.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you were paying for excess luggage, like when they when they catch you with that extra piece of luggage, it's probably about the same price per kilo that they really sting you for that extra piece of luggage.
You would think that if they're going to throw it on a cargo plane, they could just stack that on top of 5 other crates, and who cares?
They don't have room in a plane to stack.
No, I know. Yeah. Well, I think cargo they would, because they haven't got any passenger section with a whole.
This would have gone on a regular aircraft.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not a cargo plane.
Oh, I don't get a cargo plane.
No, so it has to be under 156 centimetres.
So they load it into a.
So it goes
plane.
on a pallet, and if you can get it under that probably the height dimension is the biggest one, and it goes on a pallet, then it can go somewhere in the cargo area where they've only got that much headspace, so nothing would get stacked on it anyway. It's basically maybe call it right at the back of at the tail where things start to get cramped for room.
Yeah.
So 8 to get it over there, air freight. The beauty of air freight is, in my opinion, is it's a whole lot more reliable. Like it left Sydney on a plane and it probably went to a Southeast Asian hub, like Hong Kong or whatever. It would have changed planes and gone to Paris. And if it gets bumped for that pallet space for whatever reason, or an aircraft goes down and it needs to get bumped, then it's only a day or two for them to reallocate and to get it to the end port. To be honest, I think if you work on the cost, the movement in an aircraft is probably still only about 60% of the value of your move. It's paying somebody to do the paperwork at the start.
Yeah.
It's all of that bullshit. It's the customs clearance at both ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't miss you with anything.
No, they don't.
You know, so if you're talking the actual cost of the flight compared to it coming home sea freight, bringing it home sea freight was still $6,000.
Oh, that's not even that. Not even anywhere near cheaper. Like, not really.
So for 4-month return travel compared to 2 days,
2 days,
I'm a big fan of air freight. Just suck up the cost and send it there, and you know.
I like you would think like, you definitely think sea freight would be a lot cheaper. Like, I don't know, $2,000 something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
no.
it's not.
Well, sea freight was probably still only $3,000, but all of these other fees and shit that go on top for the processing, and that is everybody, like there's handling fees and everything. There's the the freight guy that I used would take his slice.
Yeah, for sure.
He'd have his commission on it. Then the guys in the warehouse, they got processing fees, and the paperwork has to change hands, and then somebody has to pay customs to do the inspection and whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I built that crate and it was wrapped in clear, glad wrap effectively.
Yep.
To make sure shit didn't fall out, but also to try and make it visible enough that they didn't want to pull everything out.
Yeah.
Because Europe, it left Europe. It left Paris in February, and during the summer season of October through till April, there's a bio issue there, and grass seeds, whatever else in the summertime there. So it actually left Europe at a time of the year where Australian customs, or more Australian quarantine, could have forced a fumigation of it.
Yeah. Which is more money.
Just another couple $100, and then you have to pay somebody because you can't get access to it yourself. You have to pay somebody to, in theory, pull everything out of there and break it all down to get it. So
the joke, isn't it?
Well, kind of, but in the end, it was smooth. They never had to pull anything out. They never tore it apart or whatever. So,
well, that's that new rally bike that I want.
Well,
$690.
Yeah.
This 690 only had like 30 hours on it, is that right?
Yeah, a few years ago I just started a KTM rally bike owners page dedicated just for Australia, just to try and generate a bit of interest and organise a couple of rides for people who own these weapons.
Oh, so that's your page that I became a member of the other day. Not the other day, maybe 6 months ago. Didn't even know it was yours.
I started it. It wasn't like I claimed to own it. But anyway, so... there was just a random message from somebody with a photo saying, that might be the photo, saying, I've got this bike. I don't know what it's worth. I'm thinking about selling it because my dad died 15 years ago, left me a shed full of toys, and I want to do some landscaping in my house, and something needs to go. So I think for whatever reason, I might have seen it before anybody else.
Yeah.
Jumped on top of it, sent him a private message and said, look, mate,
Pull it down off the internet.
I ran, and I knew other people like yourself on that page, which is a pretty closed page, would have seen it. But I just sent him a message. I said, look, I reckon, in my opinion, for a bike that's done very little kilometres, I reckon, 35 to 40K, it'd be a fair price.
Yeah.
And then 2 messages later, I said, oh, this is me coming back from Africa, strapped from cash.
No money. Upsetting your missus.
Well, she gave me the approval. But I sort of said, look, I'll offer you 35 now if you want to take it.
Yeah.
Knowing that I've got one of these in the shed already.
Yeah, that's right.
But for an example that was effectively brand new.
Yeah, it's such a pristine book.
Yeah.
Bike.
I mean, the only thing that's gone wrong with it in that particular photo is the indicators are that old that the rubbers have
broken off. Yeah. It's a museum piece almost,
Well, it kind of is, but I'm not a fan of having shed trophies, right?
No, me either.
But I just couldn't let it slide, and in the end, another rally bike owner in Australia saw that same image, reached out to him as well, and said, "I want to buy it. I want to buy it. I want to buy it for my brother."
Yeah,
and so I know this other guy only through social media and talking to him about his rally bike that he bought off a mate of mine and whatever. So in the end, we both bid for it, and the previous owner he goes, look, I didn't have any intention of playing people off against one another to take this to a stupid place. But we got to what we thought was our limits.
Yeah.
And we were talking to one another, so we're having three-way conversations about this, all just – then in the end, the previous owner said, look, I think the only way to settle this is because you're both genuinely interested. You both contacted me at very much the same time, so I can't just give it to the first person that contacted me. He said, I've spoken to a few of my mates, and he said, how about we flip a coin for it?
Oh, really?
Going, are you serious? I'm not a gambler. And then I went, you know what? We've both got one of these things in the shed. We're both,
not like
for some stupid reason, want to buy another one.
Yeah.
I'd be very happy to lose the coin toss and that be the reason why I didn't get this bike. A 50-50 chance, right? So he filmed himself flipping the coin, and he had our initials on either side. I think it was of a 20-cent coin, and my name was
getting it.
Yeah,
that's the
so it was like deposits in your bank.
Yeah.
During this process, I did mention it to my wife and said, look, I know we've just invested a lot in going to Africa, but this thing's come up, and she went
super rare.
She went, if you want it, get it. So yeah, I put the bid up. I went and put a deposit on, and then drove up to Newcastle and picked it up like a week later. It was already registered, so it's one of the ADR compliant bikes of that model. And I think
was that 2013 or something? Is it?
Sorry, mate.
Was it what year model?
No, it's a 7.
Oh, 07.
Yeah, 07 or 08. Pretty sure it's 07 manufactured.
Yeah.
It was delivered into Alice Springs.
Okay.
And his dad used to go out there and ride it. I think he did an Australian safari years ago, but used to go out there and probably ride it around the main street of Alice Springs and put it away again.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I got it home, and every bit of rubber on it, like the engine, the rubber mounts and everything had
perished.
So I've been through the process and replaced all of that.
Can you still get that sort of stuff?
Yeah, or get it manufactured.
Yeah.
The bushes and whatever.
Yeah.
So, no, it wasn't that hard. And then, I filled it up, and I had a massive leak out of the rear tank. Like the bolts, the nut certs in these things were notorious for failing.
Yeah, righto.
So I then had to take the rear tank off and put a chemical liner in it to seal it. So, which proved workable. So there's a little bit of creativity there, but so now it's in good shape. And the reason I've got this photo up is, and Scotty's unaware of this, but next year's little riding exploit that I've sort of got on the drawing board right now is having a crack at this 10 Deserts challenge here in Australia.
Yeah.
So, have you talked about this on any of your podcasts before, the 10 Deserts thing?
I haven't. I know. So the only thing I know about this whole 10 Deserts thing, and it doesn't appeal to me to do 10 Deserts. I don't think. I don't know. It's a funny one. But I know Jeremy from the Dirt Bike Burrito podcast was talking about doing 10 Deserts for a while.
Like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, a while ago. And I don't know whatever happened to that whole thing. So, and then I had another guy who I was talking to recently who was, who wants to do 10 Deserts, but he's not going to do it for a record. He just wants to do it for charity type thing.
Sure.
Do it and get it done. He's got a 690. He came and asked me for a bit of advice and stuff, which I actually got to get back to him. So another thing I need to do, on the list. So, yeah, it seems like it would be very difficult to do to 10 Deserts because there's a lot of Ks.
It's about 6,500 Ks.
Yeah. What's the current record?
Well, see, this is where it gets real. A guy did it a couple of years ago on what I refer to as a ghetto sled, a DR 650. He did it solo and unsupported.
Definitely ghetto sled.
14 and a half days to do the 6,500 Ks. I mean, it takes in the Simpson, the Canning Stock route. It's a fairly – there's a few tough sections there.
You got Strzelecki?
Yep.
Which is not too difficult, but still
correct. It's
some distance.
It's some of these deserts you've actually just got to breeze past and wave at the sand dunes on the way through. But
because it's a road, basically.
Correct.
Whereas you get into the Simpson and it's properly hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say Simpson's hard, but it's a long distance of sand dunes and
it is. The Canning's a
Canning can be very difficult. Yeah.
But to do it in a solo unsupported manner means that you've got to take on 1,200 Ks without a refuel. And when you think about the amount of fuel you need to have on board to do 1,200 Ks on anything, it gets a little bit massive.
Yeah.
Right? So even a bike with 36 litres of fuel on it that's a little bit thirsty, there's still going to be a requirement for a fair bit of creativity on carrying the amount of fuel and being able to hold speed. But the 14 and a half days is not the mark, in my opinion, because a couple of Europeans came over fully supported by Volkswagen.
Yeah, this is the one I think I know about.
Before.
Yeah. This is the one thing I want. Another one I was told about.
3 of them in the car did it in 6.5 days.
Yeah, right.
So they'd have been sort of moving.
Yeah.
But I think that's the mark.
Yeah. So, but that's supported.
Doesn't have to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where the rules are or what record you're trying to break. Like,
how do you get 1,200 Ks of fuel on a bike like that though? Or do you have a fuel dump? Or is that class as support?
I mean, it's a little bit grey because even though the current record holder has a Guinness record for 14 and a half days, I believe he's written a book about it.
Yeah, okay.
And called himself the king of the desert. I don't think Grabbo would be too happy with that.
No, he wouldn't be.
Or Toby, or you know.
Or any other
correct
actual kings of the desert.
Yeah, when it comes to racing. But anyway, so I think even he had stuff mailed to key locations for a bit of resupply and whatnot. Spare parts and whatever, maybe on standby. I don't know that, but it's one of those things. You make your own rules up. I'm not sure what the critical pieces are, whether like you've obviously got to cover the distance and follow the right route to hit the 10 deserts. But and if you wanted to call it in an unsupported sense, does that mean you can have fuel buried along the way?
I don't see why you can't have fuel buried. Like that's still unsupported to some degree. You're not having direct support. You're having preparation, I guess you could call it.
So I think if I'm going to have a run at it, I'll work out what logistics is required. But I think if I'm going to use the mark of 6.5 days, then I think there's a bit of and to be realistic about achieving that, I think I'm going to either need to have some. I will certainly have a standby vehicle shadowing for contingencies.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to directly support that and make it easier, but probably to make it safer, and
Definitely make it safer,
and not be a burden on people out there floating around.
Especially like on the Canning.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bit remote up there, you know, like.
So I think I'm still going to go with a need to be carrying 1,000 like enough fuel to cover 1,000 Ks.
Yep.
And come up with a logistics plan to achieve that. But the reason for the photo though is I did mention earlier that I'm not a big fan of having a shed trophy.
Yeah.
And I have mentioned that I've got 2 of these. So you've thrown me by saying you're not really interested in it, but I was going to offer a ride.
Oh, I'd have a ride.
You'd have a ride?
Oh, I'd definitely have a
Well,
ride.
if you're going to have a ride, it's got to be 6,500 Ks of ride.
Oh, we're doing that, are we?
Well,
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's entirely up to you.
Oh, that's an offer.
What have I had? Since I've had this bike in the shed, I've wanted to generate a purpose for it other than just being a shed trophy. And I kind of had thought that I would invite a European friend out to come and ride, something in Australia and do something. But I don't want the bike to just look at.
Yeah.
So
that's
maybe the 10 deserts if you're interested in.
I haven't told anyone this, but I've got a sneaking little thing. I want to do a double crossing of the Simpson at some stage and try and push that.
Would that be a warm-up?
That could be a warm-up, yeah. What are you thinking? What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? What year? Next year? Year after?
Yeah, I'm already over 50. I don't need to wait till I'm 60.
I've got a few things to do next year. I've got my list.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I've offered it at the wrong person.
We could squeeze it in. It's only how many days? 6 days. We could do something.
Call it 2 weeks.
Call it 2 weeks
to get there and
need a bit of prep.
Do the work. But anyway, that was a legitimate offer.
If that's a legitimate offer, we can talk about that. Oh, that's so you can't tempt me with those sorts of things.
I can. I can because I've got the hardware.
Yeah, you do. Oh, that's a good offer. I might take up on that. We'll talk after.
Yeah, offline. Let's talk offline. Anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's okay.
That's the only reason that photo got in.
Very, very good.
Story.
What do you reckon, Sonia? Sonia's looking at me with her eyes covered, like, don't ask me. Do you know what? I said to Sonia the other day, so we're supposed to get married in July, right?
Right.
In Kenya. And a few of the boys, we want to ride south to north next year, right? So we're going to ride the furthest southern point to the furthest northern point. We're going to do Burke and Wills, basically. Yeah. So we go up to the Gulf, and then go around and up to the tip, right? Right. And that's one on our list of things to do in August next year. Right. And I said to I booked in. I said, right, I'm booked in for August next year, right? We're going to go on this ride. She goes, no, we're getting married in July. I was like, yeah, I'm booking in now. She goes, no. I'm like, yeah. So we're still negotiating that one.
But if you're going to Kenya to get married, then does that mean that you don't have to commit to a honeymoon?
Oh, that's exactly right.
Like that's an exotic marriage location.
Yeah. We're having. You can turn your mic up and talk if you want.
Right.
She's saying that doesn't count.
Sure.
Anyway, I'm working on that one.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely. What else we got?
I don't know.
Oh yeah. How do you do custom painted helmets? Do you get your helmets custom painted by someone?
Yeah.
Who does it?
This one. A friend of mine down on the Wollongong coast has been a custom motorcycle painter for a long time.
Yeah, right.
Got 30 years in the industry.
Yeah.
He's the guy that I use to paint my bikes. You know, the rally bike tanks tend to get knocked around a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's got enough knowledge that he can put paint on those and it doesn't bubble or do anything.
Yeah, with fuel,
But he's painted some pretty cool helmets for people over the years. It's a little bit of a passion thing. So that's all spray painted. There's no sticker under that. It's with
and then it's clear cut on top.
Yeah.
Nice.
So he does it all sort of freehand and whatever. So he said, "Oh, next time you're going to go and do a big race, I'll paint your helmet for you for nothing."
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'd like
other than the $1,000 for the helmet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
just to have it painted, but
that could be destroyed in the first crash.
Yeah. So anyway,
cool.
I gave it to him, and I sort of said, "Look, this is what I'm going to do. Can you paint me a helmet? I've got no, don't ask me for a design because I'm shit with that sort of stuff. As you can see from the graphics on the bike. But anyway, so I just handed him over a fresh white showy helmet, and he just sent it back like that. So
yeah, nice. You have to put me in contact with him. I'm interested in someone who can paint up a helmet. So I'm thinking about getting a full black helmet or full white helmet and just painting some graphics on it.
Well, you do have to start with a plain helmet.
Yeah, for sure.
Who else do we have? The bloke who used to do all of Toby's helmets, Toby Price's helmets and stuff, is a guy called runs by Brown's Graphics, again, down on the Wollongong coastline.
Yep.
He's pretty. He was doing all of the Red Bull helmets and stuff for Toby. Right. So he's pretty good at it too.
Yeah, right. Because the only other place I've seen do it was when I was in America, 2016. The Troy Lee Designs guys are in there doing all the helmets, and it looks mad, all that pinstriping and stuff, and they do a really cool job. But they're the only people that I've ever known that ever did helmets. But then again, I haven't looked at that carefully either.
Yep.
But I've always thought to myself, like, geez, it'd be good to do a proper helmet, one day, especially now.
Yeah.
And there we are. Look at that. That's your trophy from African Eco Race.
It is jammed in my little bag.
Second place.
To come home.
There you go. Like, I'm so surprised. You did so well. I went over there, like, especially considering the first day. When I saw the first day you'd blown the bike up, I was like, fuck, that's the race done sort of thing. That's going to be really hard to come back from there.
Yeah.
And you just caught up so well and just everything seemed to go your way throughout the race, even though you probably weren't quite racing you're racing at the pace you can race at, but you're probably not at the pace of those top guys.
Yep.
But like I said, you finished second one day outright.
Yep.
And then you even end up finishing second in the Malimoto class, which is awesome.
Yep. Behind a guy from Senegal.
This is this guy who's
a young bloke from Senegal.
Yeah,
he's Spanish.
He's going to be a Senegalese citizen. They kept mentioning it in the coverage, saying he's going to be a.
He was working the mileage there.
Yeah, right.
Anyway,
Spanish
born.
Yeah,
family. Actually, he might have been. Yeah, no, he wasn't born in Senegal, but his family run a business out there, so he's effectively grown up in Senegal.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that he had any home advantage in any way.
Not really, no.
A good rider, good young bloke. So we were competitive. I just really wanted something to go wrong for him, but it didn't.
Throw rocks at him.
Yeah. So anyway, we had a few challenges, like a few days where we were pushing hard to beat one another, and it went well.
Yeah.
I mean, I was fairly surprised. I was talking to Benny Young about the race before I went, and I said to him, because I've ridden with him a few times and whatever, and I said, "Oh, what do you reckon, Ben? Do you reckon what's the talent like?" And he said, "Oh, if everything goes all right, you'll probably make top 10.
Yeah, right.
If you push hard and if you're there to race."
Yeah.
So anyway, 9th outright, second for. I came home with a trophy.
Yeah, that's right. That's pretty good. Do you know, like, if you think about, I don't know if I think about it, but if you think about Aussies in racing this year alone, it has to be the most successful year ever for all Aussies, full stop, end of story. Because you got Chucky winning Dakar. You've got
the series.
And the series. And you've got even you think about, well, Houlihan didn't end up finishing, but Toby Hedrick's 13th, was it? 13th outright, I think it was.
Yep.
You second African Eco Race, the Lawrence brothers winning everything that ever existed.
Yep.
And Who's the other fella that was in the same team as him? I can't remember his name now.
In the 6 day.
No,
not 6 days,
in the MX Des Nations.
Yep.
But then you've got the 6 day, and the women's class. I think they came second or third in the women's class, and the Aussies did second or third as well in the World 6 day.
Yep.
The ISD.
Yep.
We're winning. We're just up at the pointy end of everything at the moment. It's awesome. I love it.
And you've missed one, and that's the Speedway.
That's exactly right. The Speedway World Championship. We did win that too. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
Smashed it.
We smashed it, killed it. It was awesome. We've been going real well.
I don't know that I make that list.
No, but everyone in general that races internationally gets a fucking mention. Like, I mean, you look at Toby. I mean, Toby sent me something the other day. He goes, something like a post like, I've been riding bikes for 20 years, and I'm I'm only just talented enough to be a mediocre rider. I'm like, that sounds about right. You know what I mean? But I mean, like, I don't think about Toby or yourself or a lot of us. Like, we can go and race in the world stage and be sort of still
put in a good account.
Considering you know, I mean, Toby's I rate Toby as a rider.
Yeah.
He's a great rider, you know what I mean? Yeah. But he's sort of still humble enough to go like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm still have to go get a job.
Don't we all?
Still not that good of a rider, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and then you look at Chucky or someone like that, and Chucky's just on another level this year.
Yeah.
I think
he's where he should have been 4 years ago.
Yeah, but I think the problem is, and this is the story that I get from around the place, is like he nearly got fucking sacked from the KTM team because he kept telling them the bike's not right. You need to change this, and they go, no, everyone else can ride it the same. Just ride it. And they're like, no, you need to change it. You need to change it. Until it got so heated, they're like, fine, we'll fucking change it. Changed it, and he was just a gun. He just walked away from everyone, and they were like, oh, well, that was good, because he's saying you need to change this bike. It's not. It doesn't feel right. And I don't know exactly what it was, whether it wasn't handling right, it was twitchy or what it was. And they made a few changes for him. But virtually we're going to change this, and if it doesn't work, you're sacked. Yeah. They changed it, and he just walked away from everyone and just riding smooth and not making mistakes and not crashing. Yeah. And just dominating everyone. Yeah. And then dominated the whole year, basically.
And now he's got the experience in the rally world to leverage off, I suppose.
Totally.
His first year or two, I guess, there was injuries thrown in there early, but the raw speed's one thing.
Yeah.
But then to have I don't know, call it rally wisdom, call it whatever you want.
That's a good idea. That's
just to have
rally wisdom.
Just to have enough time, on a road book.
Yeah.
To be very comfortable with that.
Yeah.
From all accounts, I don't think it's easy to not make mistakes with those fast guys.
No.
And there's no tracks to follow.
Yeah.
Or even if there are, how to smooth it out. But I think when you've been in the game for 5 to 6 to 10 years, you get comfortable with the road book, and it starts to tell you shit that you didn't read early. So
I mean, I've been doing this since 2018, doing actual rallies, and I'm only 2018. What are we at? 2025, 6. Oh fuck me, that's a long time. And this year at Safari was the only year I was happy with, mostly happy with my road book reading, and not making too many mistakes. There's a few little mistakes there. I probably lost 2 minutes the whole time, and I was reasonably happy.
Yep.
But I still made a few mistakes here and there, 30 seconds, a minute, but I was, mostly happy. Yeah. But it's the first time in any rally that I've actually been happy. The rest of them I've been frustrated with my bad calls. At the end of the day, they're my bad calls.
Yep.
And so that takes, that's 6-7 years of race and rally before you really start to go, okay, now I can read a road book.
One of only 2 events in the country that you can get on a road book.
Exactly right.
That's the challenge. I mean,
it is a challenge.
You've probably done more days on a road book than I have in reality.
Yeah.
I did 2 rallies to qualify for Dakar. I did a few days of an Australian safari a long time ago, until my bike shat itself. And then after that, the next time I was on a road book was in the Middle East qualifying for Dakar, on a French road book. And I did 2 rallies, qualified for Dakar, went to Dakar and did that. So Dakar was my third road book event, and then didn't touch a road book until this year.
Jesus, really?
So
I don't know how you get so used to reading them or trust your calls.
my brain's on the road book all the time, like the whole time.
And you might have the attention span for it too, like the way that your attention works on the road book and the road and all that stuff at the same time.
I'm not convinced.
No, neither am I. But I'm saying you might be.
I had a couple of guys early in eco race said, "How do you ride so fast and navigate?" Like this isn't about day 2 or 3.
Yeah,
like these are guys that have limited experience. Like myself, and I went, well, you know, I've got a pretty well set up bike with great suspension, and so my ability to my comfort on the bike is good enough that I can afford myself time to read the road book.
Yeah.
But then the road book itself is, if I look at a tulip, I just then start repeating the key numbers.
Yeah.
I'm just cap heading this. Distance this, distance this, distance this, so that I'm then not wanting to look back at it because my attention span's shit.
Yeah, mine too.
But if I'm running it through my mind,
that's what I'm laughing about.
94.6 turn left, 94, and I just keep repeating that until I need to take the next one, and that's my whole day on a road book. And it's like, that's...
I don't think people realise how it's not exactly OCD, but it's some kind of like you just keep. It's like an autistic thing you've got going on, because I do the same thing. You read the road, and then once I get into the if let's say I get into the 90 kilometre area, I go right 4.6, and I'm constantly just checking my trip to see how far along I am. 4.6, and then I get right, I'm at 4.3 or something like that, and I'm like, get on the brakes as hard as you can. You're probably doing $1.50.
Yeah,
hard as you can. I start just looking to where you're going to turn in, and then do that on and then the next note is 97.5 or whatever it is, and then you 7.5.
Yeah,
you're like just repeating the same thing over and over again. You feel like you're retarded.
Well, then you need to go overseas and do a what I call a real rally.
Yeah, well,
just for that next level of being off piste. Going cross country. It's even though you're still likely to be following other bike tracks, it's a whole new world when you're looking for a tree or a tyre, at the right distance, and or a little shit. We followed in eco race this year. We followed a line of cans, so little rock mounds.
Yeah, right.
For about 80 k's, and you just had to keep following these cans. There was nothing else as a reference point, just these little cans. Which is probably what the locals use to navigate. That had some relevance, but. You're talking about a can maybe, I don't know, 600 to a metre high, but it's just there's nothing else in the landscape but these little cans. They might have been every kilometre, They certainly weren't close enough with the visibility we had to be at one to then be able to see the next one.
Yeah.
You had to stay on the right cap heading.
Yep.
For it then to present itself, and it wasn't always obvious, So
I think that's one of the things. And I've asked lots of questions about cap headings, because that's one of the things we don't get in Australia, which I think I'd really like to see in a real rally in Australia. I reckon some cap heading work could be really, really good.
I don't mean to offend anybody who puts the time and effort into running a rally here by not calling it a real rally, but most of what we get here in Australia is limited to private property, following fence lines and formed tracks, and it's just hard to find the right real estate that allows you to get off piste for long enough for it to be relevant, to need a GPS on your bike to then be able to follow a cap heading.
I don't know, and I know that it's very, very difficult to set up any event, and private property is probably easier, like logistically easier, insurance-wise easier, all that stuff, but we can run rallies in Tasmania in the national park or the state forest or whatever, in the state forest I think it would be. You can run a full rally in the state forest. Why can't you do the same thing in, let's say, Hattah or wherever it may be? I don't know. I'm just.
I think it comes down to the complexity of
insurance and stuff, liability.
I don't think it's that either. I think it's the time it would take to get out there and put it together. I mean, Condo, the people who put Condo on know
They put on a great rally.
They do, but they know their terrain backwards.
They 100%.
They know what they've got access to.
Yeah.
They know what they know their council.
Yeah,
when they have to do an environmental
impact study.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Sort of stuff. I mean, the people that are on the council are probably, they're farmers too, and they know that it's all rubbish anyway. So they just tick and flick, tick and flick, and happy days.
But I think to cover the distance here, you're talking about Condo and I'm sure Sunraysia are only dealing with one council. So they're running their entire event inside one council boundary.
Yeah, yeah.
If you really wanted to create some distance, you've got multiple councils.
Yeah, it's
multiple environmental impact
complexity.
Studies. Or you get far enough out into the desert that the council there doesn't even know what an environmental impact study is.
Exactly.
And it's a 2-word or two-line justification. I don't know, but I would love to be able to put an event on here or to put some energy into an event that afforded the relevance of getting a system like Stella here, where you're giving a great new experience for people following a cap heading.
Yeah,
that has relevance. It's
so like one of the things I always think about, and I've thought about this for many years now, is like. We used to race a bit of winch truck challenge racing, and there's an event called Outback Challenge out in Broken Hill. It's like Silverton, Broken Hill area.
Yep.
And they basically, that's 4 drives. They run winch sections and stuff, so they ride really gnarly terrain.
Yep.
But they basically run the whole event off navigation, right? So you just follow a line, and you've got to sort of work out where you got to go, and it might go up a creek bed, and then turn up a rocky hill, and then they get a winch, and they run it for I think it's 5 days or 7 days, and they deliberately just screw with these guys, right? They'll go and park them at night time on the top of a rocky hill and say, right, this is where you sleep in the night. This is your boundary.
Yep.
And so they got to try and sleep in the rocks, working their trucks in the rocks, just deliberately sleep deprive them, and you've got to carry all your swags and everything on your truck.
Yep.
And they just do 5 days of that. I think it's 5 days.
Yeah, nice.
And it's awesome. Like, it's gnarly as shit. People breaking trucks, and basically at the end of the day, whoever breaks their truck the least gets the least penalties, obviously, which then means they win, right?
Yeah, right.
And as long as they do all the obstacles as well, Yep. But you could piggyback off winch challenge. Off Outback Challenge, and use the same properties, same terrain, all that sort of stuff, and run off-piste stuff easy. So you could run some obviously road sections, and then duck in, do the off-piste section for maybe 2 or 3 Ks, and then back onto a road section again. It'd be really cool. I'd really like to see that happen. It'd be sick.
Yeah, I've built a race in my mind, and I've spent days on mapping to probably be able to put together an event of 6,500 kilometres of good terrain with plenty of opportunity for off-piste stuff here in Australia.
Yeah.
The big problem is the land ownership. Not talking about cultural land ownership, but private land ownership, and a lot of it is tied up in big conglomerates, pastoral companies and stuff. So I think,
but I don't think that. I think at Safari it's similar. Like some of the farms we're racing on at Safari are big conglomerate companies. They're not small companies, and I don't know how the permit system works for that. But I mean, like, where do you write to them and you say we can run an event and whatever? But yeah,
there's a couple of critical pieces, I suppose. That's for me, the first thing is being able to demonstrate to the landowner, being a pastoral company, that you have a solid insurance policy that indemnifies or takes the indemnity off them.
Yeah.
I think that's the first hurdle from the legal perspective, and then if you could do that, then all you need to do from there is roll through their country with minimal impact.
Yeah, that's it. Yep, and fixing your fences
and be prepared to go around it if it's wet for whatever reason.
Yeah, for sure.
And to not damage the place. it's a challenge.
It is a challenge, but Australia, it has, if anywhere, Australia has the places to do it.
Yeah, it's just privately owned.
You think about Africa, and Africa's no rules, so it's making it a lot easier. But Africa and Australia probably, and maybe South America, have the three most
sparsely populated,
the most wide open deserts and areas you can ride on in the world, right? And it could work so well if we put it together right. I mean, there is that hunger for an like a regional Australian safari style of race to happen.
Yeah, well, you've talked about Toby a bit, Toby Hendricks.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to have been flipping through the pages of ADB when it was the only thing on offer and to follow his dad when his dad was the legend that he is within the Australian safari or the wind safari back in the day. And I think there's still scope here to revert back to that kind of an event where it was it could have been a start in Melbourne and a finish in Darwin and a shitload of kilometres in between that just wore people down and challenged reliability as much as pure talent.
Yes.
Maybe Toby's got his dad's blood there, and that's exactly the kind of an event that would suit him, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
I was a teenager at the time, and I think back then we used to get a SBS or ABC used to give you. I don't even know if SBS was around then. ABC might have given you a half hour, you know, of the wind safari or whatever it was, and it just struck a chord with me that was the kind of tough thing that I wanted to do when I was older. And by the time I got to a legal age to be able to ride a motorbike, you know, legally, wind safari was dead. The real Australian safari was dead, and it sort of got a little bit commercialised from there. And I mean, I was off on an adventure with my career in the army and didn't have time to ride a bloody motorbike at that point. But I still think there's it's the cost and the time and effort in today's world. We talked about environmental impact studies required just to satisfy council. Back then,
there's none. You
probably didn't even get permission off the council.
No,
you know, there was probably no requirement because it was just rolling through on any given day and it was gone. And I think Bob Carpenter at the time must have just been a great individual that spent a lot of time travelling the country out there to, you know, to front up to the property owner and say, hey, you know, is there any chance I can run through your property? And it wasn't quite as technical back then. But I think an event that followed that same endurance reliability piece is what we could produce here, given the limitations of land ownership and government sort of inhibitors that they put on the world
the
today.
red tape.
It's
red tape at the end of the day.
But I think you could circumvent all of that, or you could work within that and still put on an event. One thing I don't like here in Australia is wildlife in comparison to Africa and South America.
I mean, that's the highest risk. I mean, just before the podcast, we were talking about about Steve Pickering, is it?
Yeah.
And his accident in the transport of safari, like he just cruising down the road and hits 4 emus. I mean, or 4 emus ran in front of him and he hit 1 or 2 of them.
Yep.
You know, and like that was a bad accident in a transport doing 80 k's an hour, and you sort of go, that's and we've had it multiple times. This year was pretty good. I only nearly hit, I think, 2 roos. But you're doing 130 k's an hour, 140 k's an hour when you nearly hit kangaroo, and you think, Jesus, that's bad. But I think even Toby said to me when he was out in the lead, he looked down at his road book, looked back up again, and there was an emu on the left-hand side and an emu on the right-hand side, and he just split them. And he goes, I don't know how fast I was going, but I just split them and went, holy shit, that was close. Didn't even see them until he was already at them.
And I think if you've been riding bikes in the desert here in Australia ever, you've had a close call.
Yeah.
If not, you know, a story to tell.
I nearly had a camel riding across Australia. That scared the shit out of me because camel, it was just going to take my head off, you know. There was nothing else. And I was on a 690, with a hard kit on it, and it was just going to take my head off. And luckily I slowed down enough and got around it, but it was on the abandoned Gunbarra Highway, and so there's not much going on there.
No. So I wonder if you could. So I mentioned earlier about Africa Eco Race being limited to 150 k's an hour, and the experience that I want to say there's probably only half a dozen times during the whole race that I'm sitting on 150 k's an hour, feeling that I could have done another 10 k's an hour.
Yeah.
As an example, and I know the terrain in Sunraysia here and probably Condo as well. The bikes are capable of doing more than that.
For sure.
And the terrain that they're putting the race on is affords you the opportunity to be doing 160, 180 k's an hour.
Yeah.
But I wonder if you could bring a capped speed down to 140 and design a route that people might finish the day and go, I didn't need any more than that. Like I think for the egos and maybe guys that run Fink and that, it's like if you put people down the Fink track and told them that they couldn't do more than 140, it would kill that kind of an event.
Yes.
But I'm quite confident that I could put a 6,000k route together across Australia and not have anybody asking for more than 140.
Yeah.
You know, and I think if you did that and you made the route a little more technical and you brought cap headings in and that kind of thing, the risk of running into wildlife and having catastrophic injuries as a result of it would come down as well.
For sure, absolutely. And I don't think anyone would complain about lowering the speed a little bit either.
As long as the terrain compensated for that 100% by quality.
Yeah, for sure. If you can put us on roads that are windy enough or whatever, like
across the paddock.
Yeah.
Where
there's potholes and wombat holes and stumps and stuff, you know, you need to just pick your way through sort of thing.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot better. And even I think so this year at Safari, like when even one of the stages where it was windy, I think the high speed we got to was 130.
Yep.
But it was windy enough that you could do that. But there are some straight sections that are just silly. Like we did 10 kilometres. I think it was 9.7 kilometres.
Yep.
In a straight line.
Yep.
Like I just had it buttoned on as hard as I could go, tucked in, and just going, I hope the mud doesn't blow up. That's all you can think of, you know what I mean? And just think like, put us. Even if in that sort of section, it'd be cool if you could do like an off-piste section. You go this way for 600 metres. Now change cap heading. Go this way for 600 metres. Now go this way, go 600 metres, and just put us back on the same straightaway. It's fine.
Yep.
But at least you're just fucking with their head for 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's you're right. Eco Race this year, there was a stage where we had about 80 k's where it was across a depression, so basically called a clay pan.
Yeah.
It was 80 k's of this shit, and I didn't back off. It was sitting on 150 for 80 k's. Just going, fucking, how long's this moose going to last?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm already limited to 6 tyres in total for this whole race. So 2 fronts and 4 rears to do 6,500 k's of racing, and I'm in about day 6, and you give me 80 k's of 150 k's an hour, sure as shit, and it was good fun. So got to the end of that 80 k's, straight into the dunes. We got about another 20 k's into the dunes, and we got onto some hard packed track, and I started feeling this.
Yeah. The moose
and it destroyed my my moose, and it's like, what was the gain at putting people through 80 k's of just tapped.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean
the 700s, the guys on the Yamahas and the Apritas at the front, that'd have been at 2/3 revs, being able to do 150 k's across that stuff, and they were getting fresh rubber every day, and the cars would have been bored at that as well. The fast cars
wouldn't have bothered them.
It was just purely put in there, I think, to cause a fresh method of failure.
Yeah,
for the people who just held it on. That whole time.
Yeah,
and then and then I had to do the last 80 Ks of that stage with a tyre that was about to let go.
Yeah. And then
you did let go,
and you're thinking about it all the time.
Yeah. So. Yeah,
but it is partially that. It's partially a reliability thing, isn't it? But it's motor reliability and tyres basically.
Yeah,
and so, but sometimes you get a moose that just fails for not no reason, but will fail earlier or later than another moose will. They're not all built the same, if that makes sense. So
true.
You could just get a moose that's not quite as good as the other person's moose, and you've now got a failure where you wouldn't normally.
Yep.
And that becomes an issue as well because now it's a brand responsibility almost.
Well, there's a lot of IP there.
That's right.
Like just because you buy the Michelin moose and put it in the Michelin tyre that was matched to it
doesn't mean you're getting the same one as the factory riders.
True. But we ran in 2023 I ran a tour in Mongolia and there was 12 of us that invested in a bike. I got all the mid-ass tyres and the moose delivered into Mongolia to run on. And it was a fresh batch of moose straight out of the factory.
Yeah.
What I didn't know, because I haven't developed the IP to know, was that if you put a moose in a tyre before it's 12 weeks old, it hasn't cured.
Really?
It's not a problem here in Australia because by the time they put it on a fucking boat and get it out here and sell
nearly
it to
out of date. No, literally.
Yeah. So we put these things in at about the 8-week mark and they hadn't cured completely, which means they hadn't shrunk to their operating dimensions.
Size. Yeah, right.
But what would you call it? The density of the moose hadn't cured enough. So if you were to cut the bloody thing into a section, the internal it wouldn't be consistent all the way through the moose. The internal portion would still be quite soft and liquid. Yeah. So we got to what was that? That was a 16-day tour, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't until the last 2 days that we were doing a lot of highway miles to get back to our finish in the capital that they started to let go.
Yeah, right.
So we got the first 14 days out of them without a problem, without touching them.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 days was mine was the first to go on the highways, just sitting on 100. But I just started to feel it go, and then the tyre started to disintegrate as well. And it was like disappointment in one sense. But then when you think about it, we got 14 days of
pretty good
of all sorts of terrain out of one moose without pulling it out to relube it or whatever. But when I had some dialogue with the company when we got back, just to let them know and to question it, it was all about that they were perfectly matched moose and tyre, but they just hadn't cured for long enough.
Yeah.
So I always panic when, like here in Australia, they've got a 6-month shelf life from the time that they get here, and then 12 months at most.
I put them in out of date all the time.
Yeah. But
and they seem to last fine. Like I put them in out of date sometimes for 4 or 5 months out of date.
As in old?
As in old.
Yeah.
Like past the use by date.
Well, I guess it depends.
And like I've raced on them for 4 days, 5 days and never had a problem. And I think it depends on where they're kept. So if they're in the sun or in some sort of temperature.
If they're in the bedroom, it's okay, as long as it's climate controlled.
Exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so like I keep them in a pretty good place, like in the shed, so they don't cop too much difference in temperature.
Yeah.
And so when I do it, I'm like, I paid $300 for this moose or whatever it is, or $250 for this moose. I'm going to use it. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Put it in, run it, and then
So it does. I mean, that's the IP.
Yeah.
If you haven't invested into that, and you haven't done it enough, then you can expect failures. I mean, you talk on some of the social media pages. You talk about the Australian Enduro page, or all of those guys. It's a different world when you are trying to run a 0 to 4 PSI moose.
Yeah.
And you're putting castor oil on it and, experimenting. Johnson's baby oil and experimenting. And the reality is you you're not putting the kind of heat into it over multiple days.
No, it's not the same.
Like what's a day when you go out to do a bit of enduro training?
Well,
2 or 3 hours.
I'll tell you a good example. I think I counted the other day. I have 15 mooses front and rear that are being used that I don't trust to use again in a race.
Yep.
But I'll throw it in my hard enduro bike.
Yeah.
But the problem is my hard enduro bike moose lasts for so long that
You don't need a spare.
I just keep collecting mooses, and I'm like, I try and give them away to my friends and stuff. Like, here, have a moose. I don't want to. I don't need this moose.
Yeah.
Like, it's still good. There's nothing wrong with it. It just
don't race on it.
I don't trust it to race on it for long periods of time. So just take it, try it, but it shouldn't fail. But it's old. Like.
It won't in the 2 hour ride that you're going out on.
No, exactly right. And like when you're doing hard enduro or even doing regular enduro, just smashing the trails for a couple of hours, they don't get that hot to do that, have that problem, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and you have invested $60,000 to go across and race on the other side of the world. Either.
Yeah, exactly right. or even $5,000 or $6,000 to go and race safari or something. You know what I mean? That's you might as well just spend the extra $600 on mooses to have brand new mooses rather than go, I'll try and use that old secondhand one. No, it's not worth the time. You know what I mean? So, but I do think there's a huge hunger for a real off-road adventure in Australia.
Me too.
And like there's so many people I talk to that are like, I want to have a proper off-road adventure, you know what I mean? And I think the way to get around the expense is to get numbers. And if you can get some good numbers and get a good number of people through the race, you could bring the price down to a point where it's still going to be expensive, but it's going to be reasonable.
So what if you took it a different approach and you made the affordability part on the hardware? So what if you developed the adventure, the rally, with the criteria that we've sort of talked about here, but you made a race, you put a race together that Toby could pull his dad's XR600, 1986 model XR600 out and know that it was capable of winning the race because you are building a race that brought reliability of the hardware into it to the point that you could win it on an XR600 kickstart. So therefore you're bringing in what would that be worth right now? One in mint condition you might pay $6,000 for, $7,000, rather than a $20,000 brand new KTM. And then put another $5,000 into a suspension, and then exactly. Like you put an amateur's putting $30,000 into a race bike to go and do Australian Safari. Sunraysia Safari right now. Yeah. So if you shave that off and you've got a $10,000 budget for hardware, and you're smart about what you pick there, then you're bringing the overall cost back to something that's affordable. But could still win.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not a think where you have to have the 500 with a bit of work done to it and a shitload of suspension to be up the front.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Because we're not talking about that shit. We're talking about, 6,500 Ks of adventure.
Of adventure, yeah, exactly right.
That is going to have its technical challenges and it's going to challenge reliability through the design of the event.
Yeah, and the other thing I think is lacking as well is some level of classes. Like I guess what we're talking about different classes here. You could have like a class that does all that sort of stuff, no problem at all. But then the other thing too is what we're talking. I think you and I have talked about this before. Is like it'd be really cool if you could have a Malimoto style class here where you are self-reliant, where you've got to do all your maintenance yourself, or something like that, where you say right, you now have to do all your own maintenance on the bike. No big team to look after you or whatever. I mean, not that anyone has a really big team here anyway, but especially in the bike sections. But you say, right, everything you do is got to be done by you. And that's cool. I like that idea too.
I've got a few. That's exactly the way I see an event, and that should be the premier class.
Yeah.
Not just an option.
Yeah.
For those of us that are not as fast.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
They just want to be punished.
Yeah.
Without giving everything away in case it all comes to fruition at some point with a bit of support, I think you could generate an event like that and create categories where I mean, you're talking about people wanting an adventure, and I think you need to create adventure through depravity almost.
Yeah,
Like,
I was about to
rob
say
them.
that.
Like if you're going to do a race here and it's going to be like the old Wind Safari of, geez, I reckon some of those safaris might have covered well more than 10,000 Ks.
Yeah.
You know, there might have been up to 12,000 Ks. If you then put a limit of the amount of tyres available.
Yeah, exactly right.
And
yeah, for sure.
And start to limit people, it brings the budget down.
Yep.
But it also creates some significant challenge. You've got to use a little bit of brain matter and planning to
get
to the end of it.
Yeah.
You know,
yep,
so
for sure.
And then the speed, the overall or the capped speed is probably going to be less of your interest, because you're probably going to want to be doing 120, 130 Ks an hour, knowing that you've got to make that tyre on the back last for 4 days.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
or even like a chrono stage or a marathon stage, all that sort of stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I think you could bring that stuff. I mean, we already have the race format is already there.
Yeah.
It's in Dakar. It's in African Eco Race. We already know it works. You already know, like, you kind of dream of doing like a chrono stage. Like, that's cool. Go out and camp in the middle of nowhere. It's still all a part of the same stage. Same as Outback Challenge. Put them somewhere real shit where they have to sleep for the night. You know, in the middle of the desert on rocks, you know, make it upsetting for people.
Yeah.
And then go, right, sleep there.
Yeah.
You know, and then get up in the morning tired, you know, fatigued. Righto, got to do another 400 Ks today. Off you go.
Yeah.
You know, that's the go.
Leave the rock stars at the motocross track.
Yeah, 100%. Like, let's make it hard. Let's make it hard. You know what I mean? I like it. You know, so I think there's a real hunger for it. I think it's something that a lot of people want to do. So yeah, sounds good.
We will. All the motivation in the world, but bringing it to fruition's not easy.
Yeah, for sure. That's what it is. It's I think unfortunately there's a lot of red tape, and so trying to get any event up and running has got to be so difficult.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem is especially, and you're probably the same still, is you want to compete in the event as well as organise the event, and you probably can't do both. I don't see how you could do both unless you could build a really good team.
Nah, to be too much in it.
I don't think you could do both, and so wanting to compete in the event that you build is difficult. So I don't envy anyone who builds an event. You know.
Yeah, no, not at all. I think I don't think that'd be my struggle, because I'd have ridden the terrain enough if I was the one putting it on.
Yeah.
I think the challenge is, I mean, what am I, 51 now? I still want to get on a bike and, you know, be challenged in some form. Why would I want to put 2 years of all of my time and energy into running an event for other people when that's 2 years of not taking the opportunity to go and do something stupid on a motorbike myself?
Yeah, for sure. And maybe it can be both. You know, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like I said, you need a good team around you that's going to come out and give you a hand. And you can't Marathon on an island when it comes to like that sort of event. Like, you need a whole committee. Like, I mean, that's definitely what they do at Condo. They have a whole committee that of, you know, probably 10 or 15, 20 people that all pitch in to do different sections, and that's why it runs sort of not just so seamlessly, but also so stress-free, I would say.
Yep.
It runs as a stress-free event.
Yep.
It's not an event that you can see everyone's flipping out because something's gone wrong.
Yeah, sure.
It's just like, yeah, it's all good. Something, yeah, we'll fix that thing. It's all good. Just tell this person to fix it, you know.
Yep.
And it's sort of, it works as a well-oiled machine because they do have like 20 people that volunteer on a regular basis to get the event going for the year, you know.
Yeah.
And that's sort of one of the things that probably needs to happen if anyone was to put an event on that was going to run really well. So, you know, I think Condo has a limited property space to work with.
Yeah.
But what they do with it really, really well.
Yeah,
like for 2 days, for a 2-day event, They cover so much distance. They pack it in as best they can. They have a really good presentation. They do all the things, that you really want to see in an event.
Yep.
The only thing with condo is there's a lot of fence line running, but it's kind of unavoidable because of the properties you're running on, you know, because of the stations or the properties you're on, it's sort of unavoidable to get to the next section to do that, you know what I mean? And so there's a bit of that in there, and that's, but it's fine because it's only a 2-day event.
Sure.
But it'd be really cool if we get something out in the desert that was like out in the middle of nowhere with some off-piste stuff where you go, okay, we can run this fence line here, or we could just put them off-piste for, 3Ks, 4Ks,
Yeah.
That'll really mess with people, I reckon that'd be cool. But anyway.
Maybe in our lifetime. Who knows?
We'll see. Well, we better talk about these 10 deserts. So we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
Righto.
Talk to you soon.
Righto, mate. Catch
See you,
ya.
mate. Bye.
Yeah.